It is another episode of Around the Mage Table. This is episode 35, the podcast for the rest of us. We've got not a new face. You have been here with us before, but a new face in this format. So we're going to first say hello to you. Iyosky, how you doing today?
Pretty good.
All right. Good. Scrap, how about yourself?
Doing good.
That's terrible. And Shawnee, how about you?
Okay.
I'm doing great.
That is great. Okay, we're going to jump straight into it, okay? And what we're going to start with, I didn't tell you this in the pre-show, but is a IO or a contest update.
Oh.
There is some development. Is that not right, Scrap?
I haven't checked on what yours is.
Well, it hasn't changed because I've had a hard time, and we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, I hit 3K and I'm bowing out like I said I would.
So we are the 19th week of the season. You have finally crossed the 3K 3K
well,
range.
Let me tell the whole story because I wasn't playing at all, and then I hit 60 in Hardcore Classic, and I was like, well, I guess I'll go back to the race.
How did you celebrate, by the way, hitting 60?
Oh yeah, I went and killed a devil soar. It was fun.
Very cool.
Yep.
Congrats.
Yeah, so I'm a 60 in hardcore, 3K in retail, so I've been playing a lot of Zoo Tycoon now. Kind of done with WoW.
Okay, yeah. So you had lost your lead when you were playing the hardcore. I was trying to quietly boost up my IO back up to. I mean,
your problem is that you didn't stay quiet.
Well, the thing is that Shawnee and Haywire and other e-teamers were getting annoyed that I was constantly running dungeons by myself.
Yeah.
And so I was telling them, like, here's why. But anyways, you have taken the lead. You're at 3001.
Yep.
I've been stuck at 2985 because I can't get anyone to run a dungeon competently.
Frank, before I was at 301, I was at 2999.
I know, I saw that, yeah.
And I just thought for sure you were gonna take me then.
Raider IO is on constant update for me, so don't worry, I knew. Shawnee, where I know you're not necessarily competing anymore. Is it that you felt like it wasn't for you anymore? Like, what's your thoughts on this competition now that we are at the tail end of it?
My thoughts were I always thought we were going to play together. To some degree,
defeat the purpose
contest.
To some degree, I thought we would play together. But yeah, totally blew up E-Team, and I don't know if it'll ever get back together in any form whatsoever of what it was. It's really highly debated because I am ready to put both of you on a bench.
Can't let it run with that because it's not like we don't play with each other at all. Like
Scrap. If I had a PowerPoint or tape for this, I would. I know I was in Discord just last week when you were asking people to wait around for you. And then someone came on, I'm not going to say names, and you instantly left with them to go try to get ahead in IO after you made people wait like a solid 15 to 20 minutes.
I don't remember that.
I'm pretty sure that was the one where she got 3,000, by the way.
Yeah, and it probably was.
No, it was. You're misremembering it.
We'll have a court case about this incident.
Yeah, we will have a court case. Because I'm pretty sure I remember that, and I was running like a 10 or something with somebody who had asked me.
You were you asked people to do a 10 with you.
Yeah.
And then you left and bailed.
Okay. I got your 10 group all together.
We'll get the couples counselor in later, right?
Yeah. We'll have a different court case.
No, I don't know if I bailed as much as just it really it made my. No, but it made season 1 for me less fun than I'd hoped for because the two of you just kind of deuced on.
Shawnee, the season is still going, Shawnee. It's not over yet.
Iyosky, I need your opinion on this. Have I not been present in keys throughout this season?
So I feel like early in the season, and this might be why some people kind of fell off, I feel like everyone got to that 10 to 11 part in the first couple weeks and then was kind of struggling pushing into that next kind of 12 range, and that's when people kind of started falling off a bit. Especially I know that's kind of when E-Team started having some struggles, and then Scrap started just playing with literally anybody but you guys, and that's when everything fell apart.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll put it this way, Shawnee. Am I going to still be in your best friends for the recap?
Yes, because I don't pug near as much as you and Scrap.
I pug a lot.
I don't think you'll be in Scrap's, Scrap won't be in your best friends.
No,
I don't think so.
Not a chance. It's gonna be Lithian. It's gonna be Haywire. It's gonna probably be IO and you.
And
there's a chance. Well, there's only, is it 4 or 5? Because if it's 5 and Whistle,
yeah,
and Whistle
it's
probably.
Whistle, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised.
Frank is you've 100% done 5 times the keys with the group that Scrap has.
Well, he's also done 5 times the keys I have.
I
That's
don't
a
know
fact.
about that.
We'll see at the end of the recap, dude.
I would like to see
That's
at the end of the
probably true.
recap. Because,
Yeah, I guarantee you I haven't done.
Well, I
I
mean,
think I've done half as many keys as Frank has this season.
Well, yeah, because I have 6 tunes that I'm running keys on.
Exactly.
Anyways.
But like, yeah, it's good. It was a fun idea of a competition, but it's the last time I try to do anything fun in a competition that may lead to disaster, because it was originally my idea to have this fun little competition.
Yeah, but you
Well,
told
you-
us you were gonna go. You were like, I'm gonna get people to just take me to the moon.
Yeah, I was
Yeah, you
gonna,
did.
and then I saw what happened to you two, and I'm like, I can't have that much of a villain arc.
What happened
just
to
can't
the
be evil.
to the Og you guys were playing with earlier in the year? You
Rigo?
were running
You
with like
guys-
a group, yeah.
Rigo?
Yeah, he thought he was gonna take you to the top.
No, I just had fun playing with someone that was around Scrap. It's this weird thing.
Yeah,
And,
okay, I remember that.
No, I like the guy. He's really good.
This is a very
He,
personal podcast today.
I know.
What happened with him is he is doing university work to better his life,
Gotcha.
like school
Good for him.
stuff. So he was playing less, and he had a group that he played with also that got like really high, really fast. He was kind of like, I'm done, and he's playing Classic and some StarCraft and stuff.
Oh, sick.
Great guy.
Classic?
Yeah,
Cool.
Okay.
Plays hardcore or no?
Well,
I don't know about hardcore.
today's episode, we have I mentioned earlier, a court case. We are going to go into the court of public opinion and make a ruling on something that happened a couple days ago, about a week ago. And then otherwise, we just have some minor news things to talk about. So you guys want to jump straight into it?
Yeah, let's go.
Might
Because
as
this is
well.
gonna be a 3-hour episode.
All right. No, it's
Let's
not.
do it.
Scrap, Plunderstorm has launched. You've played. I know, Shawnee, you have played. Io, I don't
I
know
haven't
if
played
you
a ton though.
I have
honestly.
not jumped into Plunderstorm at all yet.
Well, okay. Let's start with Shawnee. Shawnee, what's your first opinions of you? You weren't big on it before. Where are you at now?
It's better than it was. I like the new powers. I like not having to do a renown track. As far as like I can just like target farm things with my gold. I've gotten first a couple times, so people suck because I'm
Hell yeah.
horrible at the game.
Wait, you've gotten first?
Yeah.
Damn,
Yeah,
I
I know,
haven't gotten
Steve.
first.
I've enjoyed it. It for what it was. I got what I wanted out of it, and I think it's a good thing for WoW to have, even if it's not something I'll engage in like super heavily.
Okay. All right. Scrap.
See, for me, I haven't played it that much, and I think a big factor is the renown track, because it's like, I know I wanted to play it because I wanted to have the transmog first. I wanted to have the title first, and it took like a long time to get those things originally. Like, it wasn't exactly time gated, but you had to play like a lot, especially if you were really bad, which all of us were. So I'm like, I kind of wanted all the stuff first before anybody else got it. But the fact that you could kind of get it in like within an hour of playing, I don't know. And it's not different enough for me to enjoy it. Like, it just seems like, oh, it's Plunderstorm again. I've played like, a game or two a day, but I have when it first came out, we hit it hard.
Yeah.
Like, we were playing
Yeah,
it
we
for all
didn't
all
run
day, all
Mythic
night.
At all. We were just
Yeah. And maybe if they do a different map, I'll feel that way again. But I do feel like it's, the new powers are cool, but it doesn't feel different enough for me to like get really, really into it. That's my take.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is actually it does feel a little bit different because they did do some tuning around like where mobs were on the map, and they added, as
You
you can see on the
respawn too,
screen.
don't they?
They definitely feel like it. I'm not going to say with certainty. I know.
I
what's
thought
going on, but
we thought that.
Yeah,
they
I'm
definitely
pretty sure,
respawn.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have 2 new offensive powers: the Aura of Zealotry and the Celestial Barrage. Celestial Barrage has since gotten nerfed pretty heavily. People
As
were
it
like
should have.
apparently flying with it. They like could back fly and
That's sick.
and then the Call Gale Feather defensive. I have not seen the Grav Glove. Have you?
No, I've not seen it once.
I
I've gotten
have,
the stupid
yeah.
bird a couple times, but
The
I have not
stupid
seen the
bird.
grav glove.
Oh wait, no, I have. No, I do know the Grav Glove. That's the one that lets you like port back to a spot you marked it, right?
Oh yeah, every
Oh,
time
you
I
have
see
seen
that, I
that.
dump
Okay.
it because it's too hard. I don't know. Maybe you're really smart. You can use it well. Maybe that, and then
Um,
you use a bush. Like, I don't know.
But good additions. That said, Scrap, you brought up the bush. We've only seen one.
I know
our
they
plays.
nerfed bush. They don't give it to you anymore.
Unbelievable. Like that was
I used-
the reason to play.
Yeah,
The
only
bush is
reason.
the reason I won.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the reason that Frank and I got anywhere decent in it.
Oh my
We
god,
did
it was
double
and it was
bush.
the best for content. It was so good.
It was so funny.
So I was saying this though, like I think this was like a good play for them though to bring this map back. If not for one, some people like Shawnee didn't get to enjoy it as much the first time around. 2, it's familiar, so we can kind of just jump straight back in and go. But 3, when they release Plunderstorm the next go around, there's going to be an immense amount of hype if they put a new map in, because there's kind of this like a little bit of a dip in excitement to only kind of like roller coaster it back up to like, oh god, there's a new one, and everyone lose their minds.
That's
right?
incredibly generous.
I have a question for you guys since you've played. Let's say if they were to bring it back, but it isn't Plunderstorm, but maybe it's like a different kind of theme, like an Area 52 type thing. Would
like
you still
Rocket Storm
would you
or
still
something?
would you still enjoy it as much?
I'd definitely try it.
I don't care about the pirate stuff so much.
Yeah,
the pirate thing doesn't matter at all to me.
Yeah, in fact, I think it would be cool because I don't want to just keep collecting a different, slightly different color of transmog over and over again. Like yeah, I would love it. Well, no, for me, it's great because like I do the pirate theme on one of my characters, but like at the same time, do I really want a full rainbow of pirate outfits? Like, yeah, but
like rainbows.
I'd have a spacesuit.
Spacesuit would be cool. Yeah.
Not sure what their plans are, but that'd be a cool direction for them to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be fine with different map, like different setting, not plunder.
They wouldn't even have to change the name if they did it like what do you call that? In Outland, because it's like Eye of the Storm, or Area 52. It'd just be Plunderstorm, but different vibe.
Mm.
All right.
Isn't that area called Area 52? Isn't that area called like Netherstorm or something?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So you don't even have to change the name. Plunderstorm, Netherstorm of Edition.
Now, second, more important question. Trios, you guys getting that queue in finally?
I haven't even tried it yet.
We need to, yeah. I mean, honestly, like I haven't even been playing competitively. I haven't been pushing 13s. We'll get to more on that subject in a second because honestly, I only play Plunder now if Scrapper or Haywire or Shawnee say like, hey, let's go do it, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think they're gonna play unless I ask, kind of thing, right? So it's just like we would play, but
Plunder's way down my list right now. There's too much stuff that just came out.
Oh yeah, you have Diablo's new season also came out.
Yeah, and the new set in Hearthstone came out with the StarCraft crossover.
So if anyone's wondering where Technique is, right? He has unsubbed.
He's in Discord right now.
He keeps telling us that they're better games to play, and what he's been doing for the past week is like hardcore Hearthstoning with his wife and someone he used to play Dota with. So yeah, you can jump in on that if you want. Okay, let's talk season 2. So we had this week is the week where they are testing the repeated dungeons, the ones they're bringing back. So Mechagon, Theater Pain, and Dark Flame. No, that was actually anyways. But this is the week that they're testing those ones. We have talked about some of the changes that they're going through. However, they are, I guess, rethinking the tank busters. We didn't talk about that last time, did we? Because they didn't made that official announcement. They just like kind of changed. They changed how the dungeons work, but they didn't talk about, hey, tank busters are out of control, so we're gonna take them down a notch.
I feel like we spoke about it either on here or in Discord.
Yeah, I think we talked
about just in general that they were like tank busters are too much. We got to tone it down a bit.
Yeah.
Were they talking about in season 1 or in season 2 specifically?
Well, they're saying that they're going to focus more. And I wish I had a quote for it now, but they're going to focus more on the idea that the damage should be predictable. And it might be more deadly, but it won't be focused on the tanks as much as it was in season 1.
Gotcha.
Which I think is a good change. We will talk about this again in a bit, but
if they succeed at it.
Yeah, the state of the current season complaint is it's impossible to find tanks. And while I don't think at our level that's true, I could only imagine what it's like at the the MDI / Great Push type levels, because maybe there are some things that are just completely out of control and so punishing that like you literally don't have time to react because it's just like whoop, you're dead,
Yeah.
But yeah, there were some tuning passes on this week's PTR, but they are testing the new dungeons. Scrappy, you gonna get in there and try Theater Pain?
No, I'll do it when it comes out.
You'll just wait. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, wait. I've done Theater of Pain. I love Theater of Pain, so I don't really need to test it. I'm gonna do it 100 times in season 2.
Well, that's not the reason. No, I mean this is more of the exploratory phase, right? Like, but
no, I don't do that. No,
I know. But the thing that makes me so sad about PTR is that I want to get in there and I want to test the changes, But like one, after the first day of PTR, it's a ghost town. And two, people aren't really there to do the same. They just want to come and see what their spec feels like, and they do like 2 minutes of polls and like, okay, it feels like
And
shit
then
and
they
gone.
ditch. Well, this might be a call to arms. Like, if anybody watching the podcast is a dork like Frank and wants to try PCR Dungeons, like hit him up in the Discord. He desperately needs friends because nobody else will do it.
Wow.
Because they have in last week's testing, they changed some of the things that were like egregious. So you remember in prior the Sacred Flame, they had that consecrate. Yeah.
Yeah. I knew exactly what you were gonna say before you said it.
And then it looks like, you know, like some of these, the Templar doesn't do certain.
They actually fix it? Because I remember they said they fixed it, but they didn't fix it. Like, it didn't actually. They said they fixed it in PTR, but someone was in. Like, they were doing 10s, and it was like obliterating people.
Well, it's still going to obliterate people, but now there's a 3-second warning before it hits.
Oh, okay.
Because
there was
you'll
like
see them have a cast time.
in it.
Well, no, in the past they just dropped it. It just dropped and you had to get out within a half second before the damage ticked. Now it'll be it says 2.75, so let's just call it 3-second cast bar that you'll be like, oh, it's coming, and you can run out and get ready for that to hit. I'm sure it'll still hit like a truck.
Did they fix the ring for Consecrate? Because once it's on the ground, it doesn't have like a defined edge either.
I haven't seen it because, again, I can't. PTR is just so brutal to, unless you have a pre-made 5-man to go in with friends, but pugging is pretty much impossible, so I didn't get a chance to see it myself. They did also go after the Dark Flame Cleft of minecart event, so they made it burn slowly. They made the light radius increase. I mean, all these things look on the surface good. I don't think this was going to be really that bad in M+. No more worse than some of the other RNGs like the Mist Maze and Mist of Tyranno Scythe. Because, you know, like, for the most part, that minecart would just keep moving. It was, you know, pretty predictable.
It's one of those things where if you know what the strategy, once we figure out the strategy, it's gonna be easy, but until we do, it's gonna be annoying probably.
Yeah.
It's a tank mechanic.
Same thing with Dawnbreaker, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's a tank mechanic. Because you're gonna end up because if you have, the only reason I say it because someone explained it and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. If you have like a DPS go out in a higher key to try to get the flame, and they can't like somehow keep themselves up enough, and you're in a high enough key, those mobs out there will aggro to them and just whap them down.
I don't disagree with that logic, but the thing is that if a tank goes out there, the tank can't generate threat in the darkness because you can't hit things. And so what would they be doing any differently? But I get your point because they could at least take some of the hits. But like, I also see as a mage, I could alter time, blink out, grab it, and then alter time back and immediately drop it, you know?
I think it'll be the pug killer key will be that minecart.
Hopefully it doesn't have
I can
to
see
be.
that.
They readjust it so it doesn't have to be.
And there's I hope they take the holes out of the ground because you can fall through.
All
really?
in all,
so funny.
Ian Hazacostas did a PC Gamer interview, and it's kind of hard to get a gauge for what he actually thinks, right? So, you know, he says that the health of the M+ system is a top priority. But there's kind of like this we don't think it's a problem, but you guys do, so we're going to agree that it's a problem. So, you know, it says, but if people who have really enjoyed M+ gameplay in the past are feeling frustrated today, we agree that's a problem. This is something I see constantly. It's just like, why is this season so bad? And it's just not something that resonates with me, right? Now, it is definitely harder of a season, but that is a good thing in my opinion.
I don't think it's bad.
Yeah, reflecting on it, I think it's fine. I think the state of pugging is bad, but that's not necessarily something they can regulate.
Well, okay, yeah, so definitely at the levels where we get to the 12s and 13s, I'm seeing more keys that are really higher in pugs than I expected to see.
Yeah.
Which to me says that maybe people are having a hard time building groups at that level. I could never imagine pugging like a 17.
I'm really interested. I know, I saw a 17 on the queue and I was like, that guy can't be serious. Like, what the fuck? But like, I think this season, the change they're making for next season, where after a certain IO score, your 12s don't deplete, is going to be much healthier for the 12 to 13 to 14 scene, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
because it's going to be harder to lose those keys. And I think there'll be a lot more 12s up because people are going to keep dropping them down and putting them back up, which is good because I mean that's about the level that I, found is comfortable for me at
I'm
this
gonna
difficulty
I'm
level.
gonna take a quick detour real quick because it looks like as part of that achievement, the 2850 IO achievement, which they say the equivalent is doing all 12s. They're also adding another mount. I'm not sure if this is like
Yes.
yeah, right?
And I said this before over and over. I said it's very awkward that there's there's a gap in reward between getting the portals and getting the title. Like there is so many people in between there that you just don't get. Like there's no reward for 3K. You just get to type in like 3K last season into next season's pugs, which you can do anyway. Nobody checks, and I do. Like, and I say it all the time
I
until
check,
you
but
get
I'm
any
also
keys.
I'm also the villain, right?
Yeah, but a lot of people don't. But I'm just saying, there's like no reward for attaining that level of skill, and it's good to say like between people like we can carry like our dumbest friends through 10s and get portals, and I don't want to be like
I mean, I've seen
have
people
the
who have
same
very
level.
clearly been carried to 12s and 13s.
Yeah, that's true, but it's a lot harder to do that. I mean, that deserves a merit on its own. You can be carried
this is
through
the way
13.
and you know how I feel about a certain server, right? But there's a server out there, Azralan, that I swear what happens is there's like 10 people who can do like 3300 IO.
Yeah.
And then they just literally find every single person on the server and carry them as high as they can go.
Look, I've had people from Azralan and Kel'Thuzad and stuff who aren't terrible. That said, I am very careful to invite those people. but there definitely are people there who are good,
it's like
and their
a
score reflects
99% like failure rate.
It's very, very hard to buy like 2,900 3K.
It's not. It really
it's
isn't.
prohibitively expensive. Well, how much would it run you to get a time 13 as dead weight? Like a lot of money, a lot of gold.
Sure, but that doesn't make it hard. That just makes it expensive.
Well,
which, by the way, people can spend money on doing.
That's true, but I don't think it's as prevalent as you
hold on.
think.
Should we take a quick detour on the Elon Musk because we did have this as a topic?
We talked about it before.
Yeah, try to keep it not political because Shawnee got flamed.
Yeah. Shawnee, do you want to review that?
Yeah, just
recap what happened already.
Well, see, this is what happened. Like a couple supposedly writers for magazines were like, "Hey, Elon Musk is one of the top Diablo 3 players in the world," and I called malarkey, and they were too scared to call malarkey with me. So someone in the comments of her video said, "You're an idiot." Some kind of libtard. Some kind of libtard or something. I don't even know. And I'm like, I don't get it because I don't really know much
about for those articles, by the way.
No.
No, I think because I know people in real life who simp for him. Like,
I know.
People write those articles.
So since then, after he was
hold on. I'm sorry, Shawnee. Are you sure he did? I feel he did.
I don't think he needs to because I know
he got
like
in trouble for his Twitter for having a fake account where he kept calling himself a good dad, right? And just simping from himself.
He could, but I'm telling you, I know 4 or 5 people who are not stupid, who are my friends, who would write an article about why Elon Musk deserves to have his dick sucked over his Diablo score. I'm just saying, people would write articles.
So, I merely said that the evidence points towards this not being something he solely achieved on his own, and I don't think it rewarded any kind of like merit to be achieved. Yeah, because I don't think he did. Because like just the common evidence would say he didn't. So then he started playing PoE 2, supposedly. And people finally did a deep dive in that. And they're like, he's on streaming and he doesn't know how to do stuff that his character should know how to do. So
like he didn't even know like the functionality of well, I'm reading way between the lines on that, but he didn't even know how to do stuff
that he should have known.
Except
2 hours into the game, he didn't know how to do it. So then someone wrote an article about it, and then Asmongold was like dumbfounded somehow that
that's
Elon Musk may have cheated. So Asmongold and Elon had like a conversation that he was allowed to put out there, and Elon just straight up said like, "Yeah, I have people play the game for me. I have stuff bought for me." He admitted. He's like, "So what? That's what the top people do." And that's what you have to do to keep up. And his answer is other people cheat, so I have to cheat to compete in the thing that doesn't even matter. Which is like how fragile is your ego that you're like, oh my god, I'm not in the top 20 dead. Yeah, well,
I know. Our comments are
people can blame me all they want. I'll say it about whoever. I don't. It's not that it's him. It's just it's sad to be like, oh my
It's
god,
cringy.
like it's a game. It doesn't matter. Anyone that believed it in the first place is dumb. So they
Oh, you
fully.
just said Asmongold's dumb.
Yeah, Asmongold is. I've never hidden the fact that I strongly dislike him. And I've
Yeah.
had friends that are like, I used to be in Asmongold's guild, and I'm like, you probably are dumber for it. So like,
you're gonna get lambasted. in the
I
comments.
don't. I
If
won't
people
even read
get
them.
this far in.
It's
Yeah,
even
don't
better
read
than that because he just simply said, "What are you gonna do about it?" Like that's
Yeah, I
that's-
know.
He's like, who cares? What are you gonna do? And I'm like, bro, like exactly, who cares? Why do you have to? Like, you know, you want to be the best at things, but you obviously aren't. And if you're willing to cheat at a video game and it doesn't matter, what are you willing to do for things that actually do matter?
I can't imagine
yeah.
being someone with the most money in the world and being so insecure that I had to be top 20 in a video game after that. Like,
Yeah.
not only that, but
In a
imagine how angry
pay-to-win
he must have been
video
that he wasn't number one. Like, what am
Well,
I
then he
paying
kept
for?
dropping.
what am I
And he kept
paying you
dropping
for?
All the
out
money
of
in the
top-
world.
He didn't even finish top 20.
Yeah.
And then he tries to say, well, when you see the stream, that's really me playing. As someone who plays Diablo 4 and played the same class and spec that he did in it, I could teach Scrap how to play it in 5 minutes. And if she had his setup, she would do just as well as him.
Oh yeah, because I'm
Like-
a god at video games, so
Well, that aside, I didn't want to, you know.
yeah.
All right,
God.
we'll say Io. But yeah,
okay, that's
it-
more realistic.
Yeah.
Oh god, catching strays.
Anyway, yeah, that's my
Cool.
rant about Elon.
Whole podcast.
The fact that he just, it's sad, pathetic. Like, I
there's so
can't.
much more we could talk about with Elon. And I like
No,
that
no,
as a
no.
gaming
And I-
podcast. This is where we're leaving it.
Well,
And I
thank
know
God
nothing else.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
God
Oh, yeah,
Technique's
thank
not
God.
here.
Yeah.
God.
Like, I know nothing else about what the guy does. I couldn't care if it doesn't relate to video games. He doesn't exist in my mind. So
All right.
anyway,
That's our
Politician
Elon
now.
corner for the day. Okay.
And that was the worst thing he did this week.
did he do something else?
Yes,
He
we're
didn't
not
do
gonna go
anything.
there.
Move
We're not
on,
going
move
to
on.
go there.
That's neither
Move
here
on,
nor
move
there.
on.
I'm in Canada. I don't know what he does.
Back to the state. So, you know, he said that there's effectively current builds don't reflect what they're planning on doing. We may have seen this since this was posted because it was like a week ago. But like the tank busters and theater of pain will be changed. And they want to make sure that dungeon pool has about the same difficulty this go around for season 2 as it did for season 1. So, I mean, again, I think that's good. Now, granted, maybe it's the state of tanks that are the most concerning because healing, and Iyosky, you've done more harder content than I am, so I'm going to hand this to you in a second, but like healing hasn't felt terribly hard for me at the tank's perspective because it's kind of like an all or nothing thing. Like the tank either fucks up and fucks up royally, or it's like, it's okay, I'm going to have you covered no matter what.
There's always a point where if they misrotate their defensives, it really doesn't matter what you're doing as the healer unless you have a big external because they're just going to get like 2-shot by melees. So yeah, there's a level where it really depends on them to be playing at their best to keep themselves up because there's only so much you can do really as the healer without like a sack or something to
Even then.
mitigate some damage. Yeah, even then.
Yeah. I've been enjoying healing quite a lot. Now, granted, I do just enjoy Mistweaver in general. I tried playing a little Holy Paladin. I know you usually play Holy Paladin, but like it's still pretty fun for me. I haven't felt the strains that we were worried about, but I did feel the strains as tanking, and you've tanked a little bit. Those two donkeys over there don't tank a thing.
We don't take or heal.
It's
I
Try to
mean,
see it a
there's
little
reasons behind that. Yeah, and then you know, I think I would tank and heal, just not with you guys.
Well, put your money where your mouth is.
I wouldn't prosecute. I wouldn't backseat Frank you, Shawnee, right?
You did when he was healing.
I just
100%.
said you something.
You backseat Frankton when he's DPSing. What, do we even need to
That's
bring up
also
Zach?
No,
Like-
yeah, don't get me started on that.
Backseats. Frank is firmly in the backseat. 100%.
He just made that claim.
Scrap.
Scott,
100%.
you couldn't see it
Frank.
because you can't see my camera, but I had a little sly smile on my face.
Oh, okay. I literally can't believe you just said that.
I mean, I definitely have my own personal roulette wheel at home for what I'm going to play next expansion, and it is
Expansion?
solely based. Yeah, it is solely based on classes Frank doesn't know anything
I was
about.
gonna say, just keep something. I have no clue.
Oh, don't
about.
worry. He'll try to tell you about classes he
No, I
doesn't know
won't.
anything
I
about.
don't.
Yeah,
que-
you
I
did
don't
with
question people.
my hero talents.
What do you mean?
when you were
Yes,
talking about my
I know.
heroes.
Don't no. Hold on. Okay, I'm only gonna give 1 second to this. Okay, and we're putting it together because
give me a couple
you didn't have that problem if you had just known the class yourself.
I misspoke and you
You
misinterpreted
idiot.
it, and you tried to tell me
Because
about it
that's
for like
why
an
we
hour.
went down that rabbit hole. Okay, sorry, we're back on track. Okay. Anyways, there's some PTR notes for this week. Before we get into that, I want to just take a look at the current season and the data points. You know, we're at week 19 right now. Okay, and about 600,000 keys were ran last week. This is in comparison, and this is actually season 1. Let me pull the whole.
I don't understand how 600,000 keys are ran last week, but if I look at the queues, there's only like 113 Grimbatol up ever.
Well,
like,
here,
how does make it make sense?
Let's look at this. Let me make sure. Yeah, okay, got the right one. Okay, so this right here is not only all the keys that were ran, but how many of them were timed versus not timed. Okay?
Oh.
So, sorry, I have it set to 10 above. Okay, so I set this to 10 keys, 10 and above. Just because I want to see if like the state of the game, if the state of the game is in really bad shape at the competitive level. And so to give some context, this is where it's looking right now. So as of week 18, about 280,000 keys were run at 10 or above. In the same comparison for Dragonflight Season 3, which would have been a 20 and above, right? So week 18 was 282,000 keys were run. So again, like the keys being run is about the same as season 3 of Dragonflight. Now, granted, season 1 should be a little more popular than it was.
I feel like 20s are harder than 10s, though, even though the reward is the same.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Okay, well, how many times did we get Flux a time 20 or Whistle?
Many times.
Or Leo, like just to use a name that our viewers know.
Many times. Now, granted, how many times? 20? Yeah, how many times did we do that this late into the season? Leo wouldn't make it past week 4.
That's fair. Right? I don't know. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I remember 20s being more
if you dial it back 2 months to like week 11, right?
Yeah.
We were still screwing around on 10s, right?
Yeah.
Not perfect. You know, we'd still time most of them, but like we were messing up 10s somewhat easily. So yeah, I think I mean again, I'm just looking.
Maybe because the season's long, but it's not longer than.
Well, no
longer.
I guess
Dragonflight
season 3 was 23 weeks.
Yeah, you're right. That's crazy. That's a long season.
And also just to point out real quick, because I thought we'd have shorter seasons with the new cadence, but and granted, we're knocking on the door of a season. I think it'll be no more than 23 weeks like season 3 was, but week 16 right here would be the week where we'd start to see. And actually, I think it was week 17. We'd start to see the dinars populate for the new. I know
they need to bump that earlier. I think.
Which, by the way, the new renown system is they put a blue post out of this. We keep talking about how the devs don't communicate effectively with all the things that they're doing, but the blue post for the new renown track and the raid renown track is really, really good. So get a chance to read that, go read it.
We'll talk about that next week, maybe.
Well, no, we've already talked about it to the degree that it's not really relevant for us. But what I was going to say though is it is a new thing. It is raid only renown. It is to replace all the things that they would do in the past to kind of like make the raid easier and give you things like that. You only have to kill 4 bosses a week effectively to
but I don't like
for the week.
Doing that after we get AOTC. I don't want to keep doing it.
It's also difficulty agnostic, so you can just do it on LFR and be done with it.
I hate doing LFR.
Scrap.
I'm not gonna get my dinar.
All of us will just get on real quick. We'll do it in 20 minutes and be done.
I hate it. I don't like doing it.
Even for the augment runes?
I don't. When have I ever used an augment rune? In Shadowlands was the last
can't afford
time.
them, but now you can get them for free.
You can sell them.
And sell them, yeah.
Free gold, yeah.
Money.
Although I wonder how the price will be affected by that. Okay, but there's some other things I want to look at real quick. Like, let's see. I'm trying to remember where they were. Oh no, I want to do this one right here by dungeon. There we go. So this is, if you were to take a look, I'm going to come off this page real quick. If you were to take, not this page either, because that's also telling. If you were, not that page, if you were to tell what the hardest 3 dungeons are, the ones that are least completed, what would you think they are?
For season 1.
Grim.
For current season.
Grim, yeah.
So Grim's your number 1.
Threads.
Yeah, Grim City of Threads.
Yeah.
And Stonevault.
Stonevault.
You know what? I'm gonna say oddly enough, I'm gonna say Mist.
Really? I don't
Yeah,
think so.
because the reason I say is because it should be easy, but I think it's the one too that falls apart because people are getting mad because like, how are you so much of a donkey you can't?
If I had
this.
to have a dark horse pick, it would be Necrotic Wake.
Yeah, for
Because-
especially earlier
Now
in the
keep
season.
in mind,
Yeah.
keep in mind, this does not include the number of keys that have been not completed. Okay, so failed keys is not in this. It's more of
These
like
are mistimed but completed.
yeah, all of them completed, and then versus
Oh,
how many of them. Are
I don't know if
actually
I put threads up there then, because I feel like threads
Yeah.
is hard to complete.
People
So you
just-
think
they
people
just
bail on it
ace
the
out.
most?
Yeah, I think people bail on that. I've bailed on it.
So
a couple times.
here's the data,
Oh,
right?
don't tell me I was still mulling it over. Okay, what is it?
So City of Threads, I think, is the number one.
Okay,
least
never mind. I was
completed,
wrong.
right? Make sure this is the entire season,
Yeah.
10 and above. Okay, 10 and above,
Mhm.
right? Grimbatal is up there.
Oh.
What's ahead
at,
of it?
at a, like I
Looks
think
like
this is what,
necrotic wake
42.
scrap.
Oh, that was what I did my dark horse pick. I was right.
Necrotic Wake
And
is
Stonefall?
is actually not that bad, but Siege is pretty bad, and that surprised me.
Really? What's
Yeah.
hard about Siege?
It's such a free
You know,
timer
last
too.
boss. maybe?
Wait, are we looking at the red bar
Well-
part of it, Frank?
The red bar, so here, so like 288,000 not timed, versus like for
Mhm.
example, Necrotic Wake was 220,000.
Over is that?
Now there
what's-
were more
where's
keys
myth?
run, but
Yeah, that's the problem. I need the percentage value, Frank. So if you could work on
Um,
that.
I'll
So-
do it real quick.
Siege
Yeah.
is it's
Crunch it.
easier than the ones that are below it, but Arakara, what Dawnbreaker and Mist, I mean, I would argue those deserve to be higher because those are way easier and way quicker to do than a Siege's.
I don't know.
Especially
Yeah.
especially with the runbacks.
Yeah, the
guess
runbacks are
so.
brutal in Siege. You know what I think the reason why Siege has so many missed times, like it feels
I
like an
think-
easy key.
It bricks on the first boss.
No, no,
on
no.
the third boss.
Oh.
It's the pull of all the snipers right before the third boss.
Oh, don't be a bitch. That one's not
No,
that
because
bad.
like okay, and Scrap, Io, Shani, you guys explain to me because still no one has made any sense.
I know
that-
it's a frontal, right?
That's
So
what they say.
I've been told. Okay, so just to paint the
I've
picture,
been
here,
told. I've been not
you run
told.
up the
I've been.
stairs. You run up the stairs right before you
Yep.
enter the arena of the third boss. There's the spotter and the 3 or 4 snipers, whatever they're called, right?
Yeah.
And they just blast into people. The 4
But
snipers.
what you're
do.
supposed to do, you're supposed to keep them stunned. They don't have a lot of health. Like if you can keep
they have enough health that you can't
If you
keep
can
them stunned for
rotate
more than like
3
7
stuns on
seconds.
them, you're fine.
Well, they get the diminishing returns on stuns.
Yeah, but that's why you just need to rotate it correctly. Like you have to do 3, and it can be done in 3 stuns and not even get a single damage off. With the group who knows what they're doing. But I'm just the frontal thing. Now, somebody clear this up. Is it a frontal or is it not a frontal? Because I've been told yes,
That's
I've told no. I've tested
Literally
it.
what I
I've
just
felt-
asked.
Okay, who are you
So-
asking? Because I don't know.
All 3 of you.
So I found out from a YouTube short from Megaset, so I would like to think she's credible that
she
it
is.
is a frontal. But I've also heard from Lithian that it is a frontal, but sometimes when the tank's gathering it, if someone's standing in like a certain spot, the one doesn't turn, or like some of them might not turn, and that's why you get a situation where they're not all like focused on the tank. So it seems like it just kind of is a matter of how they're gathered and where everyone's standing. I mean, I don't move a whole lot on that part unless I have to, because there's the spotter that puts the circle on people.
Yep.
So sometimes you do have to move, but you know, if someone's just kind of like Scrap who just likes to hip hop all around, and
Oh, yeah.
you know, she might accidentally get in front of one of them and
So I
Get
just
blasted.
There's your
recall
percentages, by the way, Script down here.
somebody, but not you, telling me that it was a frontal. And then I was in a dungeon with a bunch of people, and I was like, hey, did you guys know this is a frontal? As I died to all of them.
Yeah,
And I was
yeah.
so fucking stupid. And then here comes Io 3 weeks later saying, did you guys know this was a frontal? And I was like, no, don't tell them that. It's going to be so embarrassing. But I haven't properly tested it. So somebody in the comments tell us, is it a frontal or not? But don't lie. Tell the truth.
Well,
need to
explain the
find out.
mechanic because, like, my
I
first
don't know
thought
the
was
mechanic. I don't
no.
know.
Well, no, I'm telling the people who comment tell us that Shawnee is a fascist, and my understanding of it is that it is a frontal, but like I'm wondering, is it like an 180-degree cone? Because
maybe.
That must
I
be.
pulled it,
Maybe.
and I told people, hey, like don't run in. I want to see if they all face me, and they did. And then I was getting all 4 of them until I think it was like maybe Lithian or someone stood off to the side, like, and again, I would say even outside the 180 scope, and was then getting hammered, and no one else was getting hammered. I was like, what is going on?
Mhm.
So I still can't make sense of what the hell's going on. And please,
Look,
someone...
next time we're at a 10, we need to everybody stop the 10. We need to do some experimenting, like, so that we know in the last 3 weeks of the season whether it's not a frontal, and we will report back to you.
What's
guys.
really weird about it is just how little information there is. Like, I saw that YouTube
yeah.
short, and that's the only thing I've ever seen on it. If you go onto Wowhead, it says the ability, but it doesn't say anything else. It just says shoots at a person. Like,
well, in higher pugs and stuff, what I see happen is people stun lock it. So I'm assuming that's what you do.
well, yeah, because they
like
have
a
an enhanced
17 or
shaman
something.
and Og evoker, so they're
Yeah,
knocking
but
it
I mean,
up. They're
don't you think if it was
tapping it,
easier,
they're knocking it up.
don't you think if it was easier for them to all stand and stack, like if on like a 16 or 17, they would do that? But
no,
they don't.
I think they usually just skip that pack.
Do they? I have no fucking clue.
That's what I call for. I say just skip it.
How do you skip it? You need to have somebody who can skip
Invispot?
it. Invispot? Who uses Invispot in this dungeon rotation?
They could have a situation where someone with Shadow Meld pulls it off to the side and then melds it. And then
can you mind seize them and walk past them?
You probably can, actually. That's actually a good point.
Yeah, I don't know. We'd have to see. We got some experimenting to do. Next time someone's at 10 and we need to drag somebody through a vault key, we can say, okay, pause the vault key. Like, we need to do an experiment.
Yeah, it looks like I just hopped on the 3 chest real quick. It looks like that pack is skipped usually on this high route. So
because they don't know. That's why.
Exactly.
They have no idea.
Exactly.
No one knows.
All right. Well, anyways, Scrap, yes, percentage-wise, Siege of Borealis is the 3rd toughest to time, 69.2%.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
But you know, like Dawnbreaker is the number 1 easiest time, and I feel like that's one. Well, maybe earlier in the season was the one that like always fell apart because people were doing the most insane routes.
Man.
Well, no, not even that, but like people were just doing like the most insane routes of like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? You know?
Yeah.
But anyways, okay, so that's what the dungeon pool looks like. Do you want to see some specs and how everyone's doing? Because guess what? And this is
3-hour episode.
10 to 21s, by the way. No, what are you talking about? We're not even. We're at 40 minutes right now, and we're almost
I know,
through
but
the news.
we're gonna talk 2 hours about this.
I don't
hardcore
think
thing. You underestimate me.
so.
Yeah, let's look at the specs, Frank. Let's look at the specs.
Yeah, well, it's generating the data. Give it a second. But in the meantime, take a guess at what you think is number 1.
I think Ret Paladin.
Yeah, Ret
It's
Paladin.
Ret Paladin.
Wait, so I want to say something about this. I think is this in 10 to 21s?
I've said it to 10. I've said it to 10 to 21.
Yeah, Ret Paladin.
Like,
no doubt.
When I saw something earlier saying like Ret's the most played, where I'm like, it could be the most played, but I'm like, it's not always the top spec as far as what's accomplished.
So let me see if this is. Yeah, here we go. Oh god.
Now this this is the first. I don't think last season it was like. I don't think during the last expansion it was part of meta, but it's part of meta right now, and I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah, it is part of meta.
Yeah,
I think in the last season it was, wasn't it?
No, it was like.
Well, and we should be clear, meta in
meta
the sense of how often it's used, or meta in the sense of at the top it's used.
I'm saying it's being used a lot, but it's also not the highest output. Well,
because like Resto Shaman is used more, but Disc is arguably the meta, right?
Yes,
I think Resto is going to be high on this chart also.
If it ever
Resto
comes
Shaman.
through.
Resto's safer from pugs too. I'm sorry, what?
Any predictions on what you think the meta of healers will be next season?
Next season. So it sounds early. Mistweaver seems like it's gonna be the flavor. Other than that, everything else has been kind of up in the air. I haven't heard anything definite. I think Disc Priest is supposed to take a step back, so I would say probably Mistweaver, probably Resto Shaman. I don't know if it'll do. It doesn't seem like it's getting that many.
Oh my god.
So and then after that, it's really tough to say. Maybe Resto Druid just because it's gotten so many buffs, but it also depends on the damage of the dungeons, and I haven't really gotten a chance to PTR yet, so I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, these are that's a group comp. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, at the high level, that makes sense.
Well, this is 10s to 21, so this is
I'm shocked that it's over by third.
20% of runs are
what the fuck?
Brought Disc,
something
Frost.
wrong.
I don't feel like I see Frost Death Knights anymore, right?
No,
but in the high, I think Frost and Og pair really well together.
Yeah,
so
maybe.
that's why you see them together.
Enhanced is
and then
so
those
broken.
donkeys balancers are number 2.
Dude, balance. Who's that dude who keeps saying balance sucks? It's like the second.
No, he just
most.
says that you can't play it because there's no defensives, but you know,
right? Yeah,
8% of people are figuring it out.
I see a lot of orange on this.
He's not
chart.
watching
So
this podcast. You can dog on him all you want.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I dog
I mean-
on anybody, even people who watch it. So I don't care.
Yeah, so I guess this is my thing about Ret. It might be the most played, but like it is 5th on the list when you come down there into comp wise. So
Well,
That's because you already have a tank pally.
I mean, let's see if I
Yeah.
can. Here, I'll do 16s and up. I
It's
hope this doesn't take
interesting
forever to load, but
seeing all those
I
Prot
wanna
Prot
see
warrior
what
comps
specs.
fall
I
off.
don't want to
Yeah,
see the comp.
yeah,
Well, also that every single one of those in the top 20 was either a warrior or a paladin tank. There was not
Yeah.
no,
any other
they're
tank up there.
they're all paladins really.
No, I saw
you'll
some
see-
warriors towards the
No, I
bottom.
know, but what I'm saying is you'll see in a second that like right behind Ret Pally is Prot Pally.
Yeah.
I don't know if there we go. Okay, so this is 16 and up, right?
Okay, Rat
But
Pally.
if we do 10
Ret Pally
to-
is way down there. I
Yeah.
mean, way down in the sense
Oh yeah,
of
oh
like
sorry, I see that's tank pally.
let's do 10 to 20.
Ret was
That's
down
what
like
10 to
towards
20.
the middle.
Yeah,
I
Rat
think 10 to 20 you're gonna
Paladins.
see a lot more ret.
yeah, you
Ret's
definitely.
yeah,
That's number one.
popular spec, and then
10 to 20, yeah.
probably.
I feel like Ret's the mid-level hero.
I feel like I
Mhm.
see 7 Ret players apply for a key before I even see any
Every
other
time.
classes.
It's
And
super
I always
popular.
take one. Yeah, because it's like they got a battle res, they have a 4-button rotation, so how bad can they mess it up,
Yep,
you know?
yep.
But okay,
I wish it was 4 buttons. I take offense to that.
we've
Okay, well.
seen the data.
No, wait. It's not a 4-button rotation simply because you were counted on to do a lot more than just DPS.
Yeah, but I'm just
So
saying
it's a
that
lot more
your
than 4
DPS
buttons.
rotation is simple enough that I can expect you to do the other things because
It's
you're not
not that you
busy doing
expect-
calculus.
You're still busy doing stuff. You just have to throw it in too and stop sometimes doing DPS to help keep you alive.
There's a reason I would rather take a rat paladin than any kind of mage. Like,
Because mages
just-
are fingerless cretins.
well, mage is just like it's
Oh.
harder to play, so I don't trust them as well. I'm happy when an easy to play spec is very well, like very high up, because then I can trust them. You know.
hmm
Well, I mean,
That's generally it.
well, we won't get into BM hunters.
Well, when BM Hunter is good, I take them every day because I know BM Hunter is so fucking good now. Especially they have so many defensives, and it's like they can run around, they can do mechanics, they can do all the stuff that a fucking range bitch can do. But like they don't take any penalties for it. So when BM is good, I will take a BM Hunter all the fucking time.
So okay, we've talked this season, its health of it over and over and over again. I guess what I want to ask y'all is that 2 questions: is it as bad as anyone, like, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad is it? And then second, what lesson should be learned from this season? Right? It could be, hey, keep doing what you're doing. It's great. I like the difficulty. I like everything. You know, or it could be, hey, you got to figure out a better way to make pugs viable, or hey, you got to figure out how to make things more predictable. Like, what's the lesson that needs to be learned? So, Scrap, you seem to always have an opinion very off the cuff.
No, I don't. Off the cuff. I thought you were gonna say like off the radar, but
No, off the
I
cuff.
thought the season was fine. I didn't think it was noticeably different than other season, other than like pugs being difficult. But they were difficult for me specifically because it was a heavy melee meta, and I was playing a meta or a melee class when Resto Shaman is super hot, so they don't need a hero. You know, playing Survival Hunter when Resto Shaman is hot is tough, and when Ret Paladin's hot, like, and when Frost DK is hot. So for me personally, it was hard to pug in, but I don't think that was the fault of the way they structured the season. I think the biggest fix they can make is making, you know, the jump from 11 to 12s is too hard, but I think them doing the 12s don't deplete once you hit a certain level is going to be really healthy for the pugging community, and I think that I'm hoping to see that go well. I think the affixes were a pain in the ass, but honestly,
Mhm.
I stopped doing keys with affixes like as much, so I don't even notice them.
Ooh.
Yeah, and you know what? I was always a big proponent of affixes. Like when we had this conversation of like affixes yes or no, I was always like yes, yes, yes. But I find them.
So that's your lesson: is the affixes need a
Yeah, they
different-
do. I mean, I was always like, I need affixes to enjoy the key, but I found that they're more annoying. They're not like they're not like impactful enough, like dangerous
Or
enough
fun.
that or fun enough that they really make as big an impact that like when I'm doing an 11, I normally don't even notice it until like the first boss that it's even happening. Like, but I don't know, maybe I'm just too overgeared or something. I think affixes still need work, but I'm glad that if at the level that I enjoy playing at, which is turning out to be around the 12, I don't have to engage with them. So to me, it seems fine.
Okay, Shawnee.
That's my opinion.
pretty much everything Scrap said. I'd say, like, I'm after the season, I would be okay to get rid of Affix unless they do something to make them. I didn't enjoy this season, so there was too many buggy things that would go on.
Yeah.
So if they're gonna put them in, they gotta make them so they don't affect the key to the point where like stuff's floating through water and like you can't get to certain stuff because of mechanics. It's just not fun. And I would like to see some kind of, I don't know. I think the season was good. I think if I was gonna change things, maybe put some kind of MMR in for like getting into keys. Like you just have to be over a certain threshold, unless you're like a, I don't know how they'd even do it, but yeah, I think I'd like to see something like that. But yeah, I thought the season was good. I didn't care for the affixes, but it didn't ruin it for me. And I don't know. That's about it. Most stuff Scrap said.
All right, Iyosky.
I think depending on what level you played at will impact how you enjoyed this season. If you're someone who maybe caps out at like 7 or 8, maybe you don't get much more than like 626 gear. Maybe you didn't like how difficult it was, especially getting through those like mid-level keys. If you're like us, I think it was great because we're capping out at like 10 to 13. We had a nice progression, and then as we got more gear, it became easier. I don't think this season felt much different than any other season to us, just without that initial 10 level of keys that you would normally have had in any other season that we just blast
Well, any
through
other
anyway.
expansion launch.
Yeah. And I think if you're a high level player, you're absolutely miserable because the way the game is balanced at that level is not incredibly fun. And when you're trying to push the game to its limits and it pushes back, I can imagine that gets really frustrating.
I used to be a firm believer of the idea that, you know, there has to be a wall to that infinite scaling.
Yeah.
But then I realized something recently that it's like, okay, well, yeah, that I think everyone would agree with that. Like, obviously, we need to be able to push to a point where we can't push any. It pushes back, as you said. But I realized then that maybe it's a problem because it pushed back so quickly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like where
I mean,
in other instances, yeah, but in other instances where like they might be still pushing into the equivalent of what would have been like you know, a 20 or a 21 or a 22.
Yeah.
They're maybe not being able to do that because, again, from what I can tell, from what I hear, you know, Tettles screaming about, finding tanks in the super high end keys is just impossible. And so if those people are having a bad time, they're going to say that the scene is dead.
Yeah.
And part of me is like, well, that is true. And for you guys, that is obviously a problem. And I can completely understand that. But I also worry by saying that the scene is dead, that they're not reflecting, you know, what is actually true, which is it's doing perfectly fine. It's not great, but it's doing perfectly fine.
A lot of players that, like I said, around our level or maybe even a little lower, I think are fine with everything. I think it's that very vocal minority at the top end are probably the ones I think are the most frustrated with how the game is sometimes.
And I think that's the biggest problem with WoW, that is the people that get listened to the most.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say real quick about affixes. I think affixes were better when we had those first 10 levels of keys because I think it made it a little more interesting. But I think now that we don't have as much of a wall to climb, that I agree with Scrap and Shawnee that maybe we can either get rid of them or try to find a new way to implement them. Because I don't think they don't seem like they really have a place anymore. They kind of overstayed the design philosophy a bit.
Yeah, I agree with you guys on the affixes. I think that they just need to be more fun. You know, like on the one hand, there's the mob that spawns that you just DPS down. I mean, easy, not fun at all. There's the orbs that you need to collect, which for the most part is fine, except for when it's not fine at all because there's like some mechanic you have to deal with and you can't get them.
Yeah, that one's terrible. And they're getting rid of it.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Or there's the 10 orbs that spawn and you need to CC them.
Yeah.
Not really fun and kind of annoying still because like if they're in a bad position.
And it takes away utility from a
utility.
knockup or something you might need for something else.
Yeah, it feels, I don't know. They don't feel.
We have this new one coming in where the ball circles around you.
I'm looking forward to that, but I haven't play tested it.
But again, it's not fun though. Like, is that really fun?
You know what was fun? And we need to like really, if we want people to listen to like, you know, our feedback on the game, we need to say like, oh, this isn't fun, this is fun. But there were affixes that we found fun.
Oh, the
So it's
lightning
not like
one.
it's impossible.
No,
Well, you didn't like the lightning one.
I didn't.
I did. The one over your head.
The Kiss Curse one, the Razagath one, everybody hated that one. I liked it.
I loved it too, and I loved
We had to run
yelling.
into each other.
Yeah, I
hated
loved
that one,
and
but
I loved
I
all the
liked it.
people that would get mad that I didn't use the add-on, but I could still do it. I'm like,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
you don't
you
need
don't
an
need the
add-on.
add-on.
It's a glaring thing over your head.
I really like that one. I think
Yeah.
that one is very controversial, but we have to look at the ones that everybody likes. And the ones that everybody likes is like
The woes or whatever.
yeah,
they
the
were.
woes and the ers, whatever
Yeah.
that one was called, Soggy Dawn and that was another one. And then also I think that the Prideful, people liked Prideful. So
Well,
I
not
think,
the high end, but that's just because they had a scaling issue.
well, because they hate fun, and
No, no,
and
we would hate
even
it too, Scrub.
even in VS, people love the Boam Samdi one where they'd all come and run.
No, not that's one of the least liked ones.
I like
No,
that one.
I
But-
agree that what the affixes should do is they should change the way the dungeon is run.
Yeah.
Not the way that the dungeon is played, but the way it's run, like the pathing. And so when you had the woe, when you had the, you could do
The
skips, you
and
could do,
stuff.
or when you had the obelisks from that last season in BFA where you could like make portals
Oh,
to
yeah,
other
yeah.
sides of the dungeon that you wanted.
And then there was also Sagadon and that I think that was one of the best ones.
Or even the one that was season 4 of was it Shadowlands or Dragonflight, where you would kill the 10 mobs that would give you a stacking buff of your choice, like versatility, mastery, whatever. Because then you'd be like looking out for those mobs as you went and say like, oh, let's like pull that one in so we could, like, that was enough of like, okay, that's fun, and it's just changing the routing a little bit.
I think what we realize is not adding some shit that happens just like randomly in the middle of like a fight, but like things that we can plan around, that we can route around, that we can use to our advantage, like the ers and the woes and stuff, like and the prideful. Like it's something that's in our control as opposed to something that feels random and just like a total dicking randomly throughout the
worst
dungeon.
time,
Yeah, it's
Good
always
point.
at the worst time. It always interacts poorly with random stuff. It's like, let us plan around it, and then if it interacts poorly with something, then we made a bad choice, and we won't choose around that again. I think the randomness is a big factor in what people don't like about affixes, and if the ones that we're able to plan around and route around are the ones that people tend to like. Just my
All
take.
right.
Agreed.
Well said. We'll end it there. We got some patch notes this week for the PTR. They've made some things to fix driving, it sounds like, drive. I'm not going to drill too much into, some of these are just like, they've figured out a better way to sort out tier sets for some of the classes.
Well, I can say Survival looks like it's getting another secret
so
rework.
I was getting to that. Scrap.
Well, I don't know anything about
Hunters
this,
in
but
general,
like, they're literally on their like 4th rework of Survival, dude. They cannot figure out what they want to do.
I had this pulled up earlier, but I just felt like it was not enough to warrant a look at it. But this is something they changed about marksmanship last week, where they so originally they did away with pets for marksman, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the right thing
People
to do,
like
because
that,
thematically it was like you're feeling like a sniper, you're feeling like an archer, whatever. But then they reverted that and made it so you could have a talent. Here it is right here, Unbreakable Bond. You can regain access to call pet, and part of me is like,
people
well,
people are never gonna take that because they don't like dealing with a pet.
maybe, but if it's like for meta sake, if it's like the most powerful thing, they will take it, and that just completely undoes it. Like for me, I would say, okay, well, if people are upset, like, we appreciate your continued feedback with regards to the marksman update. We recognize there's a community of marksman hunters that wish to retain their access to the pets. Like, if it were me, I'd say, like, make it just a cosmetic thing.
Yeah, cosmetic. A glyph would be perfect.
Yeah, but if you look at that talent, it says when outdoors. While outdoors, your pet deals 15.
So it wouldn't be in a key.
And takes reduced damage. So it probably isn't even in a key. Like, this is just for people who want to, like,
have it thematically.
Like have it out. Right? Am I reading that wrong?
I think you
might be right.
must
I
be
just
right.
don't know if that outdoors always.
Maybe it is cosmetic, basically.
Yeah, does
I don't
that
know.
mean, what if it's like Priory? If you're outside the church in Priory, do you get it? And then
talent.
when you go inside,
I think
you're wasting a talent point on
that
it.
dungeons are considered indoors at all times.
They
Same reason why you can't ride your mount as a DK.
The precedent. Yeah, the precedent of them making a talent something you can only use not in dungeons is weird. Is there any other talents like that?
Well, for people who are lone players or delves, maybe. I don't know. Delves probably are indoors as well, but
I mean, it says that the Eagle Pet will continue to be the source of their pet utilities, such as Master's Call, Bloodlust,
and
similar effects. You know,
literally revert this and make it cosmetic and make it a glyph.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it
'Cause
is. Maybe
about
that's what
glyphs?
we're reading this as. You know.
Yeah.
well,
maybe,
I'm reading
yeah.
it as like
It's a
basically
talent.
if you're
Yeah,
just
talent
questing out in the world and you want to switch between whatever dungeon spec to this,
Yeah.
people who want a pet can have it. I mean, it's
I
not
hate
like
the idea of there being a talent that's just like bad for you in a dungeon.
Yeah. It'd be
Well,
cool if
that's
they
the whole point of
dealt-
talents, isn't it? To
What
have
to make people have to look stuff up?
This is
no, that's
purely
exactly
a
the point.
cosmetic
There's
talent,
there's
though,
single
right?
target versus AOE talents. Why would that be any different?
Well, isn't
don't
this like
know.
purely a cosmetic talent? Because it's still
Cosmetic
saying
talent.
that
it
that you're.
says you do more damage
No,
in
it's,
the
it's
world.
like a
so
solo talent,
Oh, okay. I was gonna
I
say
think
'cause
it's for questing.
Gotcha.
or
Well, if there
you know,
wasn't-
if you're just a person that likes to run around and do things in the world.
As someone
I-
not a marksmanship hunter, make it a glyph. Cut this
I-
shit out. Stupid.
I will say I do like the idea of them taking out some nodes that people wouldn't take anyways because
Yeah.
it's not useful in a dungeon, and maybe replacing it with something that would be like better and like
Yeah.
for world questing or something. That's a pretty good idea, I think.
There needs to be conflict to say like I wouldn't take this for this scenario, but I would for that scenario, right?
Yeah.
Like-
yeah.
Anyways, okay.
I mean, if you're marksman playing in a dungeon anyway, typically like the only reason you take a pet is
To have hero.
because you need hero. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you're losing DPS. So
Mm-hmm.
Scrap, are you at all excited about all the visuals that are being updated?
I'm really curious what they're gonna look like. Yeah, but yeah, I'm excited because
There's some other classes like some visuals as well. Yeah, like Glacial Advance from Frost.
I'm curious what they're gonna be. Because like, what is the? I mean, is there gonna be a visual to disengage? Like, what's that gonna be? Like a bomb exploding me backwards? Like,
Maybe
post
maybe do
haste,
like
like-
3 flips.
I hope Aspected Cheetah puts like a cheetah above me, like in classic. You know, like
Or just
why'd they take that out? It
Tiger
was
Swipe.
yeah. I want to hear the roar sound. I think there is that roar sound.
Maybe
but-
Glacial Advance now will show the icicles hitting 4 miles down the road and pulling
That's
everything.
good. I'm down with visual changes. You know, that's cool. I'm not gonna poo-poo
yeah,
that.
I always am looking for, even if it's not my class, seeing visual like updated
Huge
spells.
marksmanship.
All right,
stuff. Look
yeah.
at this
Tell
survival.
us real
Big
quick, real
rework.
quick. What's the survival 4th rework of this patch?
A big rework. They're changing a lot of stuff. They're trying to make you hit Mongoose Bite more, and they're trying to make you hit bombs less. It's like, okay, whatever. So they have
Well-
to change a bunch of stuff to make you do that.
Arcane.
So based on
Sorry, go on.
I was going to ask, based on what you said in the Discord earlier about having to wait 20 seconds to actually go into your cooldowns and your rotations,
Yeah.
does this help what you're?
I don't think
She has
so.
to wait
but
for the theory
it's hard
crafters to
to
tell
say.
her.
I'll have to see how it plays out. Like it's. I every time they rework it, they somehow make it more awkward. So I don't have a lot of faith. Like we'll have to see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat. So, like, again, I feel like I know Arcane very well, but as I read this, every time I've read some changes, I think like, oh, this sounds good, and then I go look at the Discord and they say this is the worst thing ever, and Arcane's dead.
The problem with my Discord is if the numbers come out good, they're down with it.
Well, of course,
like,
but that's
but
what
for
usually
me-
they say.
But for me, I'm like, yeah, but it feels really awkward and like it takes me a long time and I'm wasting charges and blah blah blah. And they're like, yeah, but you do more damage if you waste the charges. So it's like, well, it doesn't feel good. Like
Yeah.
you give me charges, I'm supposed to just ignore them for something that's higher priority that's not a charge. You know what I mean? Like it's like it doesn't feel like it's working correctly, even if it's putting out good damage. So it's awkward. It still needs to be worked on, and so I'm glad they're still working on it.
Well, I mean, for the Arcane changes, it feels like they're like, for example, one of the biggest complaints was Arcane Explosion was completely dead in the water. It looks like they're trying to fix a lot of the AoE things going on in Arcane, which I appreciate because I mostly focus on M+ with my Arcane Mage. And actually, I haven't even told Shawnee this, but like we've been talking about what we're going to play next season as our E team, and we've been talking about me healing. But with these changes to Arcane, now I'm kind of like, well, maybe I'll stick with Arcane because it's going to be better in M+. You know, some other, again, I'm trying to see if there's any other visual updates that they put in here, but other things just seem to be minor tuning.
Yeah, not a lot with Paladin. They're happy with how it is.
Yeah, well, Prot is getting nerfed a little bit.
So that's good.
rank it's above.
I wonder why.
Oh, Disca's got a lot of text under it.
So before this came out, which I think came out today, again, people were saying Disc was dead in the water. That's what I heard as well, Iyosky.
So
That
the
it's just
4
like-
set was shit, or what?
Well, just a little bit of everything that they removed. I don't know Disc well enough to sit there and say with certainty, but
We need technique
removed
back.
he
Although he
didn't
doesn't
know it.
Disc either.
Period. But yeah, like it just, I don't know if this is the thing that needed to get back in at least a good shape. But like Void Summoner, isn't Void Summoner have to do with the Archon talent that would like?
Yeah, and reducing the cooldown of the pet is pretty big because you usually use that when you're going into your big radiance
AoE,
healing.
yeah.
So yeah, so that's probably a good move to have that more often. Seems like that'll be good.
That's right. They had a spell that they never used where like you would essentially float up into the air, and they made that more relevant, but it wasn't necessarily best for the spec. Is that right?
It was good in like PvP, I think, because it's a penance,
Yeah.
so it can also target enemies. So you basically just like pop up and just like can blast somebody with it to try to kill them. But other than that, I don't think was best for Mythic Plus and not for Raid. So I don't really know that much about specifically how that talent works, but I remember that it wasn't one a lot of people took outside of like PvP, I think.
Yeah. But again, other than that, some minor, I mean, you know, enhancement got a tier set redesign, it looks like.
So does survival.
Yeah.
But we don't need to talk about it. Because it was very weird before, and they just like took the weirdness out. It was like, whatever, you just get a buff.
You know, like delves.
You what?
I don't know if I missed that. Are they adding delves? They're
adding 3 delves. 2 of them are just standard delves, and the third is the boss delve.
Oh yeah, okay, I'm excited for the boss delve. That's like my favorite thing.
So Scrap, I mean, like, survival and arcane seem to be the one getting the most attention and love in this, and then you know there are some other hunter specs
I'm
that got some
interested
love,
in playing it. I'm planning on taking next season a little bit more relaxed because I mean I won the 3K race twice in a row.
You can't
so
hear
why
me
even...
rolling my eyes back, but so help me fucking God!
Why even
if
bother?
I had that's gonna be on your tombstone. Jesus Christ!
Wait, I mean, I know. I'm the only one
who take it a little more easier next season.
Scrap.
Well, yeah.
As she hits her 4th season of 3000 IO.
I know. Oh, so at the beginning of the season, the first couple weeks, I'm gonna hit it hard. I know I am. I just get excited and I want to like get KSM before anybody else. I want to get KSH before everybody else. I want to lord over my pussy wagon mount over everybody else. But I really am going to take it easy. If I have to put limits on myself for what days I'm playing, I'm gonna do that. I want to try an alt. Like I don't want to just play one character into the ground.
Well, I feel like these are all lies.
No, I'm gonna try. I would rather do what you guys do, like play a bunch of characters to a decently high level than like sweat hard on one. That's what I want to try next season.
You know, if you want to play less, just play with us and not run off all the time.
Well, I mean, I pray less by not playing.
Is down the hall. Scrap. Are you gonna level your fire mage or no?
Yeah, fire mage. I'm gonna level my fire mage. Well, I have until March.
Is that a commitment
until the new
we can
season.
hold you accountable to?
Well, I'm gonna do it before the season.
This is gonna be like a swear jar. Every time you say I'm a level fire mage, I'm gonna tell you put $5 in the jar, and if you don't level it, we get to split.
It takes 10 minutes to level a character, dude. I'm gonna do it. Like I'm gonna do it before March.
You missed your opportunity with the 20th anniversary event. Like, that was
I know, but I don't like leveling super fast because I like to do the quests and chill, but like they fuck it up for me. They make me feel bad and sad.
But anyways, I'm happy with the tuning. I think they're doing. I mean, from all the classes I look at, I feel like everything's been fair and or beneficial. And again, you still feel good about Mistweaver, Io?
Yeah, it seems like it's being set up to be the best healer next season. I know. I think they're getting a mini rework on some abilities, so they might not play exactly like they do now. I have to actually look into what they're changing on that, just because I haven't looked into it yet. But yeah, they're looking like they're gonna be top dog unless there's any major changes between now and then.
Johnny, you've looked at some of the tier sets that people have been putting out. Do you remember which tank is expected to be the top tier? I've heard Vengeance is getting really good.
Yeah, it sounds like Vengeance should be up there. I mean, even though Rhett's getting bumped down, it still sounds like there's a good chance Rhett will still be there. What I've heard more is that with some of the new dungeons and stuff, the importance of certain things that Rhett does is what's going to leave.
Are you talking about Prot or Rhett?
Prot.
Prot, I mean, because
Prot Paladin.
Prot Pally has so many interrupts. That was a big thing, but they're taking out in the new dungeons the amount of interrupts you need to do, so it's going to be like, well, we don't need them as badly, and they'll be able to take some like higher DPS. So
oh man, I love that.
Yeah, basically, it's like halving the amount of interrupts you have to do. So,
well, Are you guys ready for the question of the week, which is a new segment we're going to make out of the question of the week, which
We're
is
gonna try.
the court, Judge Iyosky, Court of Iyosky, whatever you want to call it. All right, Iyosky, you've been honorary placed with this imaginary crown on your head. You are the king of the castle, and you are going to help us decide when the time comes on some WoW drama that exists out in the world. Okay, I will be your bailiff.
I'm ready.
I will be your bailiff. I will do my best to try to tell a subjective retelling of what happened, and then Scrap and
Or a
Shawnee will take
non-subjective. Objective.
objective. Sorry, yeah,
Yeah.
you know me. It's transparent and opaque. You know?
Stop with that. I can't.
So we are going to talk this week about the PirateSoftware Roach drama from Classic.
Roach drama.
Okay. Scrap, you are going to be the plaintiff or the prosecutor.
Prosecutor.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Shawnee, you are going to be the defendant
Yep.
on behalf of PirateSoftware, Thor, as
Yeah.
he might go by. We are going to watch the video. All right. This took place on January 11th, if I remember correctly. Okay. This is a video from another video that's explaining it. I couldn't find the original because God knows Thor might have tried to scrub the internet of it. This is Dire Maul and Hardcore Classic, right, Scrap?
Yeah.
Don't try to say things about my client there, bailiff, that are untrue. That is slander. Saying he may have tried to
if not him, who else? But then we'll get Elon Musk otherwise, but maybe. Okay.
Just because you can't find it doesn't mean he did
Well,
anything.
okay,
to it.
anyways.
Objection.
Here is the scene. Okay, let's play it out. And
Run.
Just run. Can you target dummy?
I can target him, yeah. Should I do it?
Just kill the massive. Yeah, target dummy. Kill the massives.
No.
Aussie, are you fine? Any grenades,
I got last
anything?
stand. You can just
Heal him,
kill
heal him, heal him.
Yeah, you just heal me. Just come back a little bit.
What's on me? Sitting bear form.
Snuppy, just run.
I can help that. Yeah.
Pirate, why are you walking, bro?
What are you talking about? Why am I walking?
This
Look at
is
my mana.
savageable. Come
Innervate
on,
you?
man.
Just kill the mastiffs.
Innervate.
Innervate the
Use
healer.
Nova,
Kill
bro,
the
come on.
mastiffs. We got
He
this.
heals.
In the sense of
War something?
Do you see my mana? What am I supposed to do for you?
Well, no, go on, Frank. Do you want to explain more background of it?
I can't even get a word out before you want to tell me what I'm supposed to do.
I'm sorry.
So, as a result, I believe Ozzy and I don't know what their name is, but two people died.
Yamato?
No,
No,
Yamato survived.
Didn't die, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yamato will play a part in a second.
Yeah.
But to recap the video, the tank who was arguing that they weren't necessarily as experienced as they should have been to make this pool, had pulled, I think, 2 extra mobs and the boss. Is that correct?
Yes. There was a pat that he pulled into the
Yep.
boss.
And so a call was made by, I think, Yamato to run.
And he was a shot caller.
Well, there's argument
What I
to say he was an inexperienced shot caller and he shouldn't have made that call. But anyways.
Okay.
And so as a result, 2 people died. Pirate was defending himself. I'll let Shawnee explain how he did that. And then there was drama surrounding the idea that Pirate was leaving. Now, there is evidence that you can't see on screen that includes him having a mana gem, as well as him having a robe, I believe, that would also give him some mana back. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Mages are notorious on hardcore for being able to help people bail out of situations like that, so it is worth pointing that out. And then what would happen as a result is that he was kicked from the Only Fangs Guild after a meeting between Yamato and Thor with, I don't know who was the GM at the time.
Soda Poppin'.
Soda Poppin', who, they're
Yep.
rotating GMs at this point.
Uh,
So again, just to recap, it was a bad pull by the tank.
That's good, yeah.
The call was made to flee, and a mage who is great at helping slow things down and or controlling things was low on mana, but there were options to sort that out. Thor is a previous employee Blizzard and has bragged as such that he knows the game very well and he plays it very well. And he even has a clip, I don't have it ready available, but he has a clip where he will talk about how his favorite part of hardcore is those moments where things look like everyone's going to die and you pull it together and get the victory. He was kicked from the guild because some other players were saying they didn't feel safe with him in their groups. And of course, there's been a huge backlash. So I will allow Scrap to make the opening arguments as to why PirateSoftware / Thor is the problem of, or the guilty party of this scenario for roaching out and getting 2 players killed.
What I want to defend is him. One, he is a roach, 100%. I don't think you can even argue that. But I think I want to argue that he did deserve. Well, he did deserve to get kicked out, which is I think what you could argue is that no, he doesn't deserve to get kicked out, because I will say in his defense, shit like this happens.
What charges are you bringing against the client?
I'm like,
hold up.
Kicked out of the guild. He's guilty of deserving to get kicked out of the guild. That's the charge I'm bringing.
You have the floor. Go ahead.
I think he's already should be tried and prosecuted for being a roach, and we all can agree on that. That was roach ass behavior. This guy claims to be.
Okay, so you're accusing him of being a roach.
Okay, I'll start there. Right?
No, let's lay out all your accusations. You're accusing him of being a roach.
Primary accusation: he roached.
The
dude,
punishment,
he roached hard.
According to you, should be kicking from the guild.
Well, no. Let me walk this back. I don't think roaching necessarily is a kick-outable offense. I think some people, sometimes you panic, you exhibit roach behavior. You run. I've done that sometimes where
Johnny, you're gonna have a very easy time with this because she's already walking back her own accusations.
No. I don't think roaching is deserving necessarily of being kicked out of the guild. However, I think that his behavior when being accused of roaching, where he decided to double, triple, quadruple down on he couldn't have done anything and that he did the right thing in that situation, and being a total asshole and not apologizing about it, except for privately, which we only have it on his word that he did, deserves to be kicked out of the guild.
Private, but
somebody else's word. Yeah, but I think that
Iyosky, can you call over whenever someone starts talking it up?
Hey, let her finish.
Yeah. So anyways, I would say that guilty of roaching, I do think he deserved to be kicked out. Okay, now let me explain some of this.
Hold on, I have one more charge that was levied.
What's the third charge?
So the charge of public opinion.
Oh, did he deserve the backlash?
Does he deserve people are rating his channel?
I don't think anybody deserves
things
I don't think anybody deserves. I don't think anybody deserves death threats over a video game or anything less than saying a slur or whatever. I don't know. Not even that, right? It's not that big a deal. He was an asshole. Do you deserve death threats? I don't think so, but he shouldn't be surprised. that's what I'll lay down.
Okay. So your accusations of him. Sorry, go on, Iyosky.
Yes.
I was going to say accused of being a roach and accused of not taking accountability. Those are your 2 big ones.
Yes.
He is the asshole in the situation.
That's a great way to summarize. He is the asshole. Am I the asshole? He is the asshole.
Okay.
That's a good way to summarize.
So Shawnee, you have to defend. Is he an asshole and is he a roach? Or no, is he worth kicking?
Okay, so
because of his behavior.
On the note of, is my client who I was hired by him today to defend and no prior knowing of him.
C-Scrap, that's how you RP.
Okay, sorry.
I just met him today, so other than that, I have no bias in this. I would say no, he didn't roach out because as the shot caller and the tank said to run, which is commonly known in classic hardcore, meaning to get out of the key, he did what he was called, and it was repeated more than once to run in both instances. So he did what he was told as the non-leader of the key. Now, as he's running, they decide to change their mind, but he's already on his path out of the dungeon. Maybe, could he have done something? Maybe. Does he admit that maybe he is not the best mage ever? Yes, my client's never sat there and said he is the world's best mage.
Objection.
And he doesn't say it. He actually... There's
objection.
Video. Actual quotes of him saying he's not the best.
Is it
mage.
sustained where you don't let them object?
Yes.
No, sustained is when you let them object.
No, well, first off, she has to have a reason why she's objecting.
Yeah.
So.
Wait, why
my
are you
objection
objecting?
Is your client has lauded over the entire community that he works for WoW, his daddy worked for WoW, he's a great WoW player, people should look up to him.
But what does that have to do with him saying he isn't a good mage, though?
He said he's good at the client has claimed to work for WoW, but he has never made the claim that he is the world's best mage. He's actually gone on record as saying he is not the best mage, and maybe that isn't the class he should have played.
And Shawnee, when did he make those statements? After the roaching?
Hey,
Or before the roaching?
Hey, you're overruled.
Okay,
Your Honor?
that's right.
So, on the question of roaching, no, he did what he was told to by the shot caller, and the tank overpulled in the first place. And the count, should he be kicked? Well, if you should be kicked for doing what you're told to do, then I guess everyone in that guild should be kicked. But I would like to call in question, some of the people in the guild themselves are not the most upstanding citizens to begin with.
Holy
So
shit.
maybe Soda Poppin', who's been character I have no problem calling into question, who's been kicked and banned from Twitch on multiple occasions, even for putting a character into blackface, which reserved him a 2-week ban.
Shawnee's
Maybe-
deep.
Someone's doing
Maybe-
some receipt pulling.
Yeah.
Maybe he should just, sit back and not worry about what others do. Or maybe he does know because he knows he does the bad things all the time anyway.
Can we let the record show that Soda Poppin has resigned as guild leader? Hence,
He didn't resign. He was removed because
is it
he
so?
died. He did not resign. His character died. And so he was replaced. And now the person who replaced him is known to be ruling the guild with an iron fist as he's kicking inactive or not good enough players from the guild. And some of them are large streamers.
Damn.
So, yeah, on the case of roaching, he was told to run. He ran. I don't know what else you want him to do, because if he was told, if he did against the rules and pulled extra, he would be the one to blame. So, on the count of
Go
being
ahead.
kicked from the guild, guild unity is a very important thing. I think it could have been resolved without him being kicked. Is someone allowed to defend themselves when everyone's coming against them, and they might, in someone's eyes, overreact? But I know people who feel like they're constantly attacked in our Discord, and sometimes they get a little heated, and then they come back and they're like, hey, I got heated because I felt like everyone was at me. So,
Frank,
yeah.
right?
no,
No, I'm just kidding.
I personally...
Fuck, am I Yamato?
Yeah, you're
No.
Yamato.
Anyway, yeah, no, I don't think he roached. I don't think he should have been kicked out of the guild. And no one deserves death threats over a video game. It is
I think we
too
can agree
far.
on
Let's be
that.
clear on that.
We
Yeah,
can all
I
agree on
think
that.
we all
Yeah,
agree on that.
We all agree on that.
It's too far. He's playing a video game. Yes, he is in the public. But just because you're in the public doesn't mean the public should be able to reach out and touch you and harass you.
Okay, so just to confirm the stances, and we're going to put this in the sense of, am I the asshole? So, Scrap, you say yes for
I think we
behaviors
can
of
say
roaching
Yes.
and for
Roaching
their inability
and-
to handle the
Yep,
criticism
and
after the fact.
No accountability, being a huge dickhead.
Okay, and Shawnee, you're saying no, not the asshole, because they were called to run.
Yep.
Right? And while there may have been things that could have been handled differently in hindsight, armchair quarterbacking is obviously a favorite pastime of people. In the moment, he made the decision, and he also admitted he's not the best mage.
He is on the plane and he put his mask on before he put it on the children that were in the queue with him that were obviously not good enough to be in the queue with him or dungeon.
Do you, what about the court of public opinion, right? So should people forgive and not, obviously not the death threats, but like he shouldn't be getting the flack?
He's allowed to feel the way he does. I don't think he deserves a flack. He's standing his ground on what he believes, and I feel that's what makes things important. Scrap will die on a hill no matter how ridiculous it is. So, I don't think this is any different in this case. He believes in himself, and I think you are more than allowed to believe in yourself and what you did.
Okay. Iyosky, you are open to cross-examine both the defendant and the prosecutor. Any questions you have for them?
Wait, can I present evidence?
Well, let's get to a point where he gets his questions
okay.
answered from your opening statements first.
Okay, so my first question will be for Shawnee. So run was called, and then immediately afterwards says drop a training dummy. Which in that earlier video where they did run, a similar thing happened. Run was called, they dropped a training dummy, and then there was more shot calling that happened after that. Do you think there was reason for him to maybe at least think he should swoop his camera around and see what was going on behind him?
No, he heard run, training dummy, run. other things said. By that point, going back to it, everyone can be die. You hear people yelling, heal me, heal me. I can tell you now, if someone says gun, I'm running. I'm not looking back like, oh gosh, they said no, maybe not. No, I'm out. Once he's out, he's out. He's self-preservation. And I think if they were in the same spot...
I have a question to follow up from that. Ask you when you get a chance.
Yep. Are you done with your
Yeah,
answer,
I think
Sean?
he's more than fair to... If you get told to run multiple times and they stop for a second and then say run again, I'm going to continue to run as my client should have, because obviously they don't know what's going on.
So
it is a cluster.
What was your question, Frank?
So, in a sense of a army environment, right, a combat environment, while a retreat might be called, right, would it be the expectation of a soldier to flee without regard, or would it be the expectation that they, in a nutshell, leave no man behind?
From what I understand, as I have zero military knowledge myself, never being in one, so I don't really know. From my friends that have been in some form of army, you're paid to do what you're told, and that is it. You're not paid to think. That's why there's people above you. So when he was told to run, he ran. Listening back to the video, it is chaos. So do you turn around when you hear run, do this, oh Lord, heal me, run, run? No, I'm out.
Despite the arrogance of saying, what do you expect me to do?
Yeah, I want to analyze this guy's face, because he didn't look like he was panicked and just coming to chaos. He looked like he was ditching people. And he was like, what do you want me to do?
He's calm under the circumstances. It's not his fault that he doesn't express
this is
his
really
shock
like
and awe.
His expressions are not a reflection of...
I would like to point out that my client doesn't have to scream like there's a small child falling into a bathtub full of water every time their health dips below 5% for a heal.
He acted
like
later.
some people do.
Hold on, I have a relevant thing. For that.
Go on.
So,
I'm dead.
yeah,
It's fine. And I did live, so.
He didn't look particularly panicked, but he also was in arguably the least amount of danger considering the distance he did get. So I don't necessarily think he could be necessarily feeling as panicked as everyone else. Now Scrap, let's say you've done a hardcore dungeon or two in your day, and you've done a hectic hardcore dungeon.
I've done several hectic hardcore dungeons. I've been in groups with people who have died.
You know, run gets called, right? And so maybe you start running. And then people start calling other stuff. Doesn't necessarily say. Do you think if you still want someone to help, he should have said, "Hey, pirate, can you drop a blizzard?" Or "Hey, pirate, can you do something?" Or "Hey."
Especially in a chaotic situation where people are doing a level 60 dungeon, and especially with somebody who claims to have worked at WoW and whose daddy worked at WoW and has been streaming WoW for 20 plus years. Go on.
All right.
Having worked for or played for does not equate to being able to be perfect at something.
No, but Thor does have a level of aura to him. Well, no, but like
I also
like arrogance
object on the
to
grounds that his working at Blizzard is under contention from people saying that it's not even.
Oh, so he's a
100%
liar.
true.
Also, great.
He
so
can
he also
lie about
lies.
one thing and be honest about another.
Incredible that he can lie.
Why
only
would you
when
enter that into evidence, Shawnee?
Yeah, no. So your
I'm
client
just
is a
merely
liar,
saying
proven liar.
that if you want to accuse my client of something, you have to first prove that he works there. So unless you can prove he works at Blizzard, you cannot put that into evidence.
Let me say something, is that in OnlyFans, it's a streamer guild, right? So there's people in the guild who don't know what they're doing, and there's people who do. People have been playing Classic in hardcore forms in the past, and he is a guy, this is not his first time playing Classic, not remotely. It's definitely not his first time playing hardcore. He's done these dungeons before. He's played Mage before. Like, and even as somebody who isn't into hardcore, like, you know, raiding or anything like that, I know that the role of a mage, if you're going into the dungeon as an endgame mage, you are partially like helping people get out if something goes bad. You have the most tools at your disposal to get people out while causing very little risk to yourself and your character.
I object.
On what grounds?
Have you
Okay,
ever played a
Scrap,
mage in a
follow-
level 60
follow-
dungeon?
I've played
Scrap,
with
hold
mages.
on, Scrap.
Have
So,
you
okay.
played one?
Have you?
Follow up
I'm
question for
just
Scrap.
objecting.
Yes.
Again, the couples counseling needs to come in quick.
No, I don't even want to do this.
The question I have for you is, okay, so I'm thinking of if you were to play it back, okay?
I want you to play it back for my evidence.
Well, but I mean, like in slow motion.
Yeah.
If he had dropped the blizzard or the ice nova or the sheep or like all sorts of variables that you can play into there.
Yep.
Is there a possibility that all those things wouldn't have made a difference and they'd still would have died?
There is a possibility, but if we run back the clip, or maybe you want to add this in post, and you look at where he is compared to the other 4 people, even though run is called, I feel like when run is called in a hardcore dungeon, it's not like every man for himself. Like, it's understood that we are bailing on this, but we're gonna like
an
try to...
assumption? Objection.
It is an assumption.
I think it's a
100%.
reasonable assumption, though.
Okay,
And I
based
think
on what?
that there's evidence based on the fact that the other 4 people, when run was called, stick together,
You
doing
can't
everything
even
they can.
see them in the video.
You can if you watch
There's other videos.
if you watch it from the rogue's perspective.
From the video that is put into evidence,
Shawnee,
you cannot
I'd like
see
to
them.
submit another
If
video
you-
to evidence.
If
No, if you watch
to
it,
object.
if you watch it from Yamoto, is that his name, the rogue?
Yamato, yeah.
Who's the one
Yeah.
who had big beef with him afterwards? Because
Yamato,
Yamato, who's a rogue who has risking a lot more because he's got a lot of less get out of jail free cards, right? He is back there with the tank, with the whole team, trying to make sure that he's like that everybody is running together. Meanwhile, the mage, who has way more tools at his disposal to help the team get out safely with less risk to himself, is around the corner running out the fucking door. And even though that run is called, like, the call is still being made. Like, you should say run. Like, run could just mean like bail. It doesn't. It's like means we're gonna head towards the exit. Like, we all need to get out. It doesn't mean every man for himself. And I think that's commonly accepted. I think if you look at any clip, like, from most people, that's the case. Like, run doesn't mean, okay, the mage is going to blink all the way to the dungeon, the rogue is going to vanish. The rogue doesn't vanish. He sticks and he helps the group get out.
So
I ask, how many times should run be called before run is run?
I'm dead.
I think run, like, never insinuates like every man for himself. They are running. They're all leaving the dungeon, but they're trying to leave together. They're a guild. It's a collaborative game. You try to make sure everybody gets out. Unless you're a roach, because
So,
roaches
Scrap.
don't seek collaboration. They run and they scurry out by themselves. Look at him. Everybody, even the tank goes back.
Let me. I'm not sure if this is the thing. I'll pull it back up so we can look at it.
I think this is Yamato's point
Yeah,
of view.
this is Yamato. Look at how Yamato stays with the group. Where's the fucking mage?
This isn't. No, this is like a different spot
This
because
is
they
not
were in a
the
different
pool?
spot. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm trying
they
to
all had
find.
been
Maybe
like
it's this right
committed to
here.
running though, would they have just gotten away? I wonder.
Well, if they had the mage helping them, they could have
Let's see
done
again.
better.
Like to object on the fact that Yamato's with the group. Of course, a melee DPS will be with the tank when run is called, because a mage is not supposed to be in melee.
But the rogue.
Oh, maybe this is it because you can see.
Yeah, the mage is literally fucking gone.
Like there's a glimpse where he looks down the hallway. And
Yes, he's literally gone. Look at the rogue together. The rogue is not stuck there because he's in melee. He's literally trying to do everything he can to make sure that people get out behind him. Like, he's literally being the last line defense as a fucking rogue. What a hero.
I object. He is only doing that to save his own life. If he was the mage, he would have been just as far back and gone.
Objection, because the mage, again, the mage could just blink out. The mage can ice block. The mage can do all the things.
The mage can do a lot of things as long as he's not on low mana, which he was, as you clearly see come across the screen.
Objection. Literally
All right,
objection.
hold up.
Pull it back up. Well, hold on.
Real
Let me do
quick.
my objection first. Or you want to do yours
Okay.
first?
Well, I have a question, but it's not particularly relevant to this part. So if you want to say something real quick, and then I have a
I have a point because
cross-examined
he says
question for you.
he says the mage has low mana, it flashes across his screen. However, it's again really common knowledge for mages before level 60 dungeons to have low level versions of their spells so that they can slow down stuff in a dungeon for like virtually no mana to slow down mobs. And he did not do that.
Did you know that before or after you saw reactions to this video?
Well, I know I knew that before. I knew that
it's
for
common
Hunter and stuff.
knowledge in
Down
Classic.
ranking is
common
very
knowledge? Okay.
yeah. Down ranking is extremely common knowledge in Classic, and every class does it in some regard. Like, but yeah, so that you use that. I don't know what it's called. It's not Rain of Fire. It's like Rain of Frost or something. Whatever.
Blizzard?
That maybe Blizzard. I don't know much about Mage. I'm gonna be
It's
honest,
Blizzard.
but I do know from running with mages.
I'd like to have that in the record. I don't know much about Mage, but I'll argue this
I know
Mage
more than
didn't-
you.
Wait, I don't know much about Mage, but this Mage didn't do anything I
I
think
feel
they
like
should
Sean
do.
is just out for blood against Scrap, and that's
That's
all
fine.
he cares
No, I
about.
like the
is-
court case. This is really fun.
No, it is a court case. If you want to
Yeah.
say you don't know about Mage, but then want
Sorry,
to say
sorry.
my case is
I
based
don't
on
have-
what a Mage should
I don't
do.
have good textbook knowledge about Mage, but I do know they have a spell that slows everybody down, and if they use the downranked version, it costs virtually no mana. That's my first point of evidence. My second point is that he has a robe that he knows he fucking has that restores mana for literally like no cost. It's just something on cooldown. He also has mana gems on his bar, which at one point his cursor literally hovers over before he decides, nah, I'm not gonna do that. Because he already said I'm low on mana, and then his cursor goes over. Like he remembers, he's like, oh wait, no, I have a mana gem. And instead he's like, no. And he literally shakes his head no. I've seen a slow breakdown of this. He shakes his head no, like, nah, fuck these guys. Like literally, like he won't even use his mana gem, which is a fucking renewable resource to save somebody's life, save somebody's 200 plus hours on their character.
Do you remember about when that was somebody already dead? Did you maybe think it wasn't relevant to do it at that point?
Nobody was dead. What it was directly after he said, "I have no mana," like. And then he hovers over and sees that he has access to things that could do his mana, and he decides just to fucking stand his ground. Is at least what I've seen other people suspecting, and I agree with.
Mhm.
So I think on the point of he didn't have mana and he didn't have the ability to go back and help the group, we can kind of throw that out, right?
So real quick, based on getting away from the actual what happened in the dungeon for the situation and taking the emotion out of the situation where he had to make a call if he wanted to lose his 200 hours on his character as well.
I should add context. He claims that another reason why the decision was made is he's the only 300 out of 300 enchanter in the guild.
I was actually about to bring that up. I was going to say there might have been things that he may have been considering outside of him. For example, the guild was not going to raid when they wanted to. They were going to have to wait longer. Maybe he thought being the only 300 enchanter guild in the guild is a good thing to keep around. What do you think about
being
that?
one of the only few 60s left.
What I do think is that he could have still safely aided them. Instead, he ran around the corner. Like if he had thrown out a Rain of Frost or whatever, I don't remember what it's called. I'm sorry, I don't know the name of it. Or like,
how do you not
and then,
understand the concept that Rain of Frost is Blizzard?
Whatever, Blizzard. I don't know why Rain of Fire is sticking in my head. Whatever. That he could have thrown out a Blizzard and it would have been still at no risk to his person at all. Because he had no aggro, like there was no chance. And then if everybody else died and he had aggro, he could have blinked his way out of it. He could have petri dished. He could have done a ton of stuff. Like he was not in any fucking danger at this point.
So real
quick,
the petri is irrelevant because I don't think they were going to use them. I think they were still debating on whether or not they were going to use.
They didn't use them. But even so,
they
could have
purposely destroy them.
He could have blinked out of that dungeon because he was so far ahead of them. Like he could have still stayed the furthest away and just like tried to keep eyes on everybody. But we saw from Yamato's video, like Yamato was running back and forth to try to aid everybody to get away. And where's the mage? He's literally so fucking far gone you can't even see him.
But Scrap,
like
do you think
roached.
that might just come from experience of someone who's a more competitive player to say I'm just in general a better player than PirateSoftware or any of them for that matter, because he's pretty famous, I think, for being
a better
high-end
person.
But based on his behavior after the fact, I wouldn't say he's a better person. But anyways,
yeah.
The point being though that he knows how to control a scenario better than Pirate would, and therefore using him as the standard isn't necessarily, because that's like saying, I'm going to use LeBron James as my standard of what an average basketball player would be.
Yeah. But these are not things that I'm holding him to a high standard. These are things that like most mages in dungeons like lower than 60 know how to do. And it's kind of expected. Like somebody in my guild died because of a mage, and like literally the mage like bailed out, did the same thing. Like just because a mage can get away really easily. Like you can blink, you've got a lot of stuff, you can slow things, and you can totally like peace out, fuck you guys, and leave everybody in the dust. But you also have so many tools to to like kind of help everybody get out. So it's like, you know, you have a lot of power, you have a lot of responsibility, like Spider-Man, Frank.
Shawnee, do you Frank?
Yeah.
In case you didn't know that, Frank.
Yeah.
Shawnee, all right, let's bring this ruling on Roaching to a close. So Shawnee, do you feel like you have anything you want to add about or reinforce about did he or did he not roach?
I just want to stick to the actual facts and not what I believe or what I think or what I may presume to know. Was run called? Yes. Was other order called in between? Yes. Was run called multiple times after that? Yes. Did he do what he was told? Yes. I don't see what else he's supposed to do.
No.
You can't object to a closing argument.
I would like to anyway, because if he just said run multiple times, in between that, other orders were given. You know,
Yes.
so like we need to kill this, we need to kill that.
Wait.
So
that's not how you object. You just say I object.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
Anyway.
and Scrap, you have a closing argument yourself, so give him a second to say it,
Okay,
and then you
okay,
can
yeah.
retort.
Yeah, okay,
So,
sorry.
as the fact,
We need to send you guys to law school.
you're just gonna let me talk without her interrupting.
I've
which
played
has
all the
never
Phoenix
happened.
Wright games. I know exactly how this goes.
As run was called, like I said, and as the plaintiff or the accuser will say, other commands were called in between. After what was called in between, they said run again. So he merely did what he was told by the shot caller. Is it his fault the shot caller is inexperienced? No, just like it's not your fault when an inexperienced driver runs into your car. I rest my case.
Well,
he did not roach.
Okay,
As
let me
a
get.
person, he's allowed to be whatever kind of person he wants. There.
And the person who decided B is a roach. I would like to begin
let's
my
be clear.
closing
Yeah, I was
statement
gonna say,
on
let's be clear.
roaching.
This is your last statement about the matter.
On roaching specifically, because I have other statements on the
Yes,
asshole.
we'll get to the
okay, but this is the roaching charge. Okay, so I think that, you know, saying like, oh yeah, run was said, like how the typical guildie or person running a dungeon should interpret it is as clear as fucking day. Because 4 people stayed when run was called. 4 people did not bolt for the door. 1 person did. 1 person behaved like a little roach, crawling on his belly around the corner and out the door. Run was called multiple times, and it still seems like literally there was no confusion from the other people that running meant we're bailing on this pack. We're not going to sit and fight it, but we're going to make sure everybody gets out safely. I mean, I don't think that has to be said in a hardcore scenario. And yet he said, well, I heard the word run, so like that activates my little roach brain and I turn into a little cockroach. I'd rest my case.
The melee stayed next to the mobs.
Yep.
Holy fuck.
Closing statement part 2.
All right, Iyosky, what is your ruling on the charge of roaching?
A roach, yeah.
I'm going to rule that he is a roach, but I will specify that roaching is not necessarily negative. It just means that he prioritized himself over the group, which I think we can argue later on whether that was right or wrong. But
I mean, roaches are very successful animals, so
object.
You can't object to the ruling.
All right, he's appealing it. Let's go to the higher court.
I call him in contempt of court.
I appeal, and I want Lord Technique to come in.
From my point of
Technique will
view,
call him a
and
roach. Technique plays hard.
at the end of the day, I'm never going to tell anyone who put 200 hours into their hardcore character, what's right or what's wrong. But it definitely seemed like there was plenty of opportunities, especially from his experience, to figure out a way to that, hey, we're still doing this. I think he just kind of dipped, realized that he got to a point where it's like, okay, maybe it's too late to go back and help now, and then was kind of indecisive. That's kind of what it
I feel like this is one of
view.
those beyond a reasonable doubt things we need to clarify, though, because I want to make sure you're definitive on this. So you're saying there's enough evidence to say that even in the heat of the moment and the throes of what was happening, he should have been clear. There should have been enough evidence for him to say, well, I'm clearly safe, or there's more I can do clearly, and you're not happy with his, because I don't want to armchair quarterback it. Like if we were in those scenarios, would we have done the same thing? And you're saying there's enough evidence for you to say that he should have prevailed into more heroic moments.
Yeah, without trying to be an armchair quarterback, because obviously, you can look back on it a million ways, and just based on the couple videos we watched, it definitely I'm pretty certain. I feel like he roached on that.
Isn't that literally a
Despite
judge's
the fact
job
that in that same
to like
in that same dungeon there was already one instance of chaos because of the tank.
I feel like that was more definitive. They kind of were getting out on that. I think they were more definitive about what was going on.
And that was more appropriate because it's like he stuck with the group and he was casting spells and it's I would be less ready to accuse him of roaching in that situation. And that's why he wasn't necessarily accused of roaching that situation. People did that.
Well, he
those
was,
people
but
those people went back into a dungeon with him. You know,
But like
they
I said,
didn't
it's
feel like
not-
that was so egregious.
It's not something I necessarily think is a bad thing. I think if you want to preserve your character, that's within your right. You spent the time to level it. You absolutely should.
Roaches are really good survivors, but they're creepy, crawly little bugs. So,
Okay. All right. Well, we need to move on to the am I the asshole then? Okay.
yeah.
So, Scrap, opening argument.
Yeah.
Why should he be charged in the court of public opinion with being, let's say, canceled?
Let me start this out because I've seen a lot of clips of OnlyFans deaths and dungeon wipes and things like that, and there are cases where like one person definitively gets someone else killed, like from bad playing, from worse playing than I think PirateSoftware exhibited, and
Pirate
yet
didn't get anyone killed. Let's be clear.
No, okay, I know, but that's what I'm saying is that I've
Okay.
seen clips where people definitively get other people killed from incompetence, you know, from bad behavior. And why do those not become big like stories? It's because in every clip I've seen, that person is very apologetic and they're very quick to say like, "Oh, I fucked up." Or like, "Oh man, like I'm sorry, I panicked, like my bad." But what did the roach do? Right? Wait, he's officially a roach. I can call him that.
Roach now.
No, I don't have to say alleged roach because the ruling was that he is a roach. What did he do? Not only in the moment when everybody was trying to get everyone out, which that clip continues on, it was he argued with Yamato.
Yep.
Yamato. I can't keep it. He was arguing with him over the top of people when people were still trying to get out of the dungeon and people were still like dying and fighting off mobs. He was actively arguing with Yamato, like in a panic situation and being a dick. And then later he goes on stream defending it and saying like, "Oh no, I didn't fuck up. It was the druid's fault. He's the one who pulled and I just listened to the call and stuff." And then when he was pressed again and public opinion was coming again, he's doubling down. He's tripling down. He's quadrupling down. Apparently the only time he apologized was privately, but at no point does to the court of public opinion does he show any remorse and any like ceasing of assholery. And so it becomes a huge story because when you get somebody killed or don't get somebody killed, but you could have helped somebody get out while you ran like a roach with your tail between your legs, like that, you don't be an asshole about it, like just be like cool. But he was not cool, and that is what I'm accusing him of.
Okay, Shawnee, opening argument. Scrap,
Well,
do not
first
interrupt.
off,
I won't.
I'd like to point out that the defense or the prosecutor openly says that that my client did not get anyone killed by their actions. So at our own admissions, he technically has nothing to apologize for because he is not the one to blame for the deaths. He did not blow the mobs, and he is allowed to stand on the fact and reiterate the fact that he did not pull the mobs.
Wait, objection.
That is untrue.
No,
What are you objecting for?
He's not on the stand for murder.
Let him finish, and then you can come.
It doesn't have to do with anything. Scrap quiet.
So, what is he allowed to double down and say, "Hey, it isn't my fault these people died"? That's true. It isn't his fault that they died. He did not pull the mobs. He merely preserved his life in a manner that some people apparently don't like, but he still followed orders. Now, is the way he maybe said it not to everyone's liking? That's fine, because the way the people approached him was also not to his own liking. So, if you come at someone like a jerk, they will be a jerk back typically. So, he's merely reacting to the reaction in the first place.
Okay, Scrap, you want to object to something?
Well,
Of course.
I do agree he didn't directly get somebody killed, but he's not on trial for getting somebody killed. He's on trial for being a roach and an asshole.
I have a cross-examine question for Scrap.
Yes.
Do you think that maybe some frustration from him or maybe him standing up for himself comes from people trying to make content on something that happened with him and maybe are pressing him a little more than, would happen in a normal situation like this where some people might just be like, "Ah, shit," and then forget it?
Yeah, I think that like I do agree to your and Shawnee's point that like the reason he's being an asshole is because he's doubling down in response to backlash. But I think the appropriate thing to do is to admit you're failing. And as somebody who's played WoW for a long time, he should be able to watch the clip and recognize the points that people are making in areas he failed. And a bigger man would say, "Yeah, I messed up. I shouldn't have done that." But he did not.
Okay, Shawnee, do you want to respond?
He's being criticized and told that he killed people in the dungeon because, in their opinion, he left too early. So yes, he is directly being accused for the fault of the people dying when he is not the ones that overpulled the mob. And the shot caller admits that they're not a great shot caller, so there's no reason to go after him for killing those people when other people openly are to blame for this. So yes, I can see his frustration. Now, I don't know why else he wouldn't be frustrated, because if I was the one to blame for people dying and it wasn't obviously my fault, then yeah, I would be frustrated and double down on that take. And that's where I think people are getting most bad, that he won't apologize, but he doesn't need to apologize for not killing people.
But he should apologize for not saving people when he had the power to do so. That's what this prosecutor's opinion is.
Do you okay, two-part question, one part for each of you. Okay, so we'll start with Scrap. A lot of the reason why Thor would react the way he is and essentially getting, let's say, defensive is Yamato can be a very aggressive person. And
Is he the one who did blackface?
No, that is
Okay.
Soda
Sorry,
Pop.
I'm mixing up the
Soda Pop and
no,
Yamada
no,
is the
he's just again, like, you know, think of we don't have anyone like this, I feel like, in our Discord anymore, but think of the people who would just, like, you know, they play at a level that most, if not all, people don't play at.
Yeah.
And kind of expect you to play at that level with them, and anything less than that, you're just like an idiot, and they talk to you as
No,
such, even if
I've
they don't
known
directly
that-
say that.
Yeah.
Right? The same way I talk
Yeah.
to Shawnee.
Exactly. I'm very familiar. But I do, yeah, I feel like Yamato's frustration was because he probably felt like PirateSoftware was somebody he could depend on in a situation like this, because PirateSoftware does have experience in hardcore and in classic, like
That's not the
extensive
question I
experience.
asked, though.
Sorry, you didn't ask
he's
the
justified.
question.
I know, because you interrupted me before I could get it out.
Sorry.
Whether he's justified in his frustration or not is not what I'm asking. It's
Okay,
just
what do you
the
ask?
fact that he took a tone that is effectively shouting, right? Arguing and shouting.
Yep.
And, you know, again, armchair quarterbacking to a degree as well, because, you know, it's one thing to pull up the tape and watch it again over and over and over again and say, well, this is what you could have
Question,
done, right?
Frank.
I'm
What's the
saying,
question?
is Thor justified in effectively shutting down, right? To saying, like, I'm not going to engage in this kind of disrespect.
Here's the thing. I think during the clip, argument, frustration, like when it's happening, that's why we're watching it. Because we want to see, like, nobody's watching a hardcore
Objection,
dungeon
Your Honor,
thinking,
relevance.
yeah.
well, hold on. I'm getting
Not
somewhere.
relevant.
Let me finish it. I'm saying nobody's watching these dungeons like saying, "Man, I hope nobody dies." Like and when I'm watching a Twitch, I'm like, I hope something horrible happens, and that people in the moment they get angry and stuff like that. But he had like many times to react and apologize, and people were asking him to, and he continued to double and triple down that like there's nothing he could have done. Even when people are showing him evidence, like, dude, you could have done this, you could have done that, you could have done that, and he could say like, yeah, I could have done that, but I failed. He doesn't say that. He won't say that. That's why he's an asshole.
What point does, like, you know, if you analyze everyone's video and say you could do this, you could do this, I mean, what does that, it doesn't change anything, so what does it matter if he admits to it or not?
I think somebody who admits to it would be not an asshole, and somebody who doesn't admit to it is an asshole. That's my personal opinion.
Is there a
Fair.
possibility? I have a second question for Shawnee, but is there a possibility? I want to follow up this. Is there a possibility that he's dug himself in his trench and now he has to live in it because he maybe is stubborn, right?
Yeah.
But you are stubborn, and it doesn't mean that
Yeah.
we.
I
will
am
write
also
you
an
off.
asshole.
No, I know, but like, You're the biggest
The
asshole in the
charge-
world, but
Frank, the charge is being an asshole. I think digging your heels in when you were wrong, when people got killed, when you should be humble and say you made a mistake, but you don't. Like it's like that line from The Big Lebowski. You're not wrong. You're just an asshole. Like that's a fucking direct quote that could explain the situation. And may I remind the court, the charge is being an asshole. So I say
if
more?
he's not wrong, is it fair to give the hate that he is incurred? Like it's one thing to say,
That's not
yeah,
what
you're
I'm
an asshole.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you're an asshole, but like, you know, you're just being stubborn. Okay, who cares? Kind of the same way we write you
Yeah.
off, right?
Yeah, right.
There's another where we remove you from, in our case, our community. We also send, you know, people to bomb your stream and you know, maybe send you in-game tells to say you're a fingerless cretin. And
I'm
snaggletooth.
not here to determine the punishment. That's for the judge to decide. I'm
Okay.
here to bring the charges forth, right?
Okay.
So, and the charges being not just an asshole like I am, but a criminal asshole as determined by a system of law. Like this is a prosecutable, verifiable
Okay.
dickhead.
Okay. So, as the prosecutor, what are you recommending for the sentence then? What are you recommending if you were to choose to say guilty?
I think that he should have to apologize and say he roached. I think he should have to admit to roaching.
Okay.
And
Shawnee,
he has to use that terminology.
my
He has to
second-
say, I was a little creepy crawly, brown, ugly little roach. And then I'll be happy.
Shawnee, my second part to that question is, in several occasions, Thor would leave a conversation, despite, you know, one of them was, I think, very contentious and very aggressive. But the one within, I think, the guild leading, the guild meeting, you know, he essentially just said, yeah, I'm not dealing with this and pieces out. Do you think that that's a behavior that warrants someone getting empathy for the fact that they may have not should have been armchair quarterbacked, but clearly don't show any care to resolve the matter?
I can only speak on how I would react to the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So if he is, you know, I'm going to work under the assumption that these people all work together in the sense of within the guild. Now, if he chooses to say, I want to leave because he knows he's personally angry and doesn't want to lash out at people and cause more drama, I think that's actually better than staying around to try to explain yourself when you're so heated that it's not going to accomplish anything anyway. I personally will leave Discord at times when I know the next words that are out of my mouth are not going to be friendly and kind, because the conversation has gotten to a point where it's just an argument and nothing's going anywhere. So yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with someone saying, I choose to leave this discussion. It's going in circles, or, you know, whatever term you want to use. Yeah, if it's going nowhere and it's just going to cause you to lash out and be an actual asshole, like removing yourself from a situation before you actually say something ignorant, I think is better than saying something ignorant.
Okay. Iyosky, do you have any more questions?
No, I don't think I do.
Okay, closing arguments, make it quick, because we're now at the 2-hour mark.
I think I already gave my closing argument.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. Like, what's there to apologize for? And the fact if he isn't the reason they died, could he maybe have helped? Maybe. But like, what's he to apologize for? He didn't pull the pack. He did what he was told. Beyond that, someone's just frustrated that he isn't as good as a player as they had hoped he was. Like,
Okay.
is he supposed to say, like, hey, I'm sorry I'm not as good, but I'm also, what am I sorry for? The mistakes of other people. It's, you know, I just don't see it as being something he needs to apologize for. And I'd like to point out that they already made their closing arguments.
Well, I want to make a closing argument, actually. I changed my mind.
She
I want to
can't
say
help herself.
he's not being
No.
charged with being a bad player. He's not being charged with making a mistake. You know, he's not
Then he
even
doesn't have
charged.
to apologize.
He's not even charged with roaching because he's already been prosecuted and punished, or like a punishment will be delivered on that. This accusation of, is he an asshole or not? Did he behave in an assholery way when handling the situation. And I think that, like, you know, in the moment, leaving Discord because you're feeling heated, you're not feeling good about it, that's cool. But then what do? You come back and you what? You apologize, you be nice. What did he choose to do? Let the record show he came back on, doubled down, asshole behavior. He was pushed again. He's getting threats. He's getting all kinds of stuff. He comes back on, triples down. He comes back on, quadruples down. And in fact, Soda Poppin, who I won't make any statements about his blackface if not, I have yet
Yes,
to
she
see the
does.
evidence. Well, I mean, I'm just the court acknowledges that he has done blackface, but at the same time, like, his testimony when he got rid of him, he said it's because of like the nobody wants to run with you, but also because you literally kept doubling down repeatedly, like, and you didn't go off your stance. And I think, again, we need to go back to the Big Lebowski. You're not wrong. You're just an asshole. Technically, run was called, so technically he was in the right by running. But was he an asshole about it?
So he wasn't a roach?
Yes. No,
I
no.
mean,
No. We can't. We can't. We'll talk about it in appeal. Yeah.
All right.
The
Yeah.
look of panic
That's
on
a closing
Scrapp's
statement.
face there for a second was great.
I would
No.
like to point out, if he's an asshole for doubling down on his stance, then everyone that keeps doubling down what they thought about him is just as much of an asshole, canceling out all the assholery
Final
in
statement.
total.
Final statement, though. Those people aren't on trial, Your Honor, and he is.
Okay. Iyosky, what's your ruling?
All right. Well, they're not on trial, but it is important to consider how they responded to the situation too. And I am going to rule that he is not an asshole because while he did not take accountability for it, I do feel like he was approached he was just giving back the energy he was getting. And yeah, there could have been a better way for it to be resolved, but ultimately, you have a situation where you have a bunch of these people that are trying to make content and it doesn't necessarily seem like they're going about it the right way either. So I think he's within his right to stand up for himself there.
Okay.
Wait, bang the gavel.
Oh, sorry.
Court is adjourned.
Thank goodness. Ugh,
All right.
I don't like arguing with you, Scrap.
Well, I loved
It's
it.
exhausting.
I
isn't it?
don't like
It's
I
exhausting.
just don't. I don't like it because I do think that everyone in this scenario is an asshole now that the trial's over
Yeah,
and I'm not
yeah.
getting paid. I think they're all
Shawnee,
assholes.
you did beautifully, though.
I think
I
they're
like
all assholes, and I think, like, if it was me, would I have been like, "Oh God, I panicked"? Like, sorry.
Yeah, of course you would, 'cause
Sure.
you're Canadian.
But I also would have been like, "Yeah, bro,
Scrap
maybe."
throwing out strays to Canada.
I also would have been like, "I'm sorry, I panicked," but I definitely would have been like, "I panicked because this tank is garbage, and I'm not taking the heat for these deaths."
Yeah. I want to say
So-
I gotta give a hand to Shawnee because at the beginning of this, I was pitching a fit because I was like, Frank, I literally can't like not give my own opinion. Like I have to be on the prosecution side because I don't agree with it. And Shawnee was like, I'll step into whatever role you need.
Thank you very much.
He fought it so admirably. So
I really
yeah.
appreciate how as everyone became more comfortable, Scrap all of a sudden just became a prosecutor and like her
Yeah,
closing
yeah.
statement, she's like asshole behavior. I'm like,
Yeah,
damn, she's like got
I'll
real
do
lawyer stuff going on
I'll
here.
do as many court cases as possible, but I always need to be on the side I'm actually on, and I'm sorry I can't.
I feel
not
like
be true to myself.
I feel like next time you and I, Scrap, need to go at this and shout because Shawnee is the more level-headed one. He can bailiff and ask the questions.
Yeah, but Shawnee did such a good job.
He did a great job.
Yeah.
Right, but I could also tell that he was getting really wound up by you objecting out of nowhere for nonsense.
I just like, I didn't care. I just don't. I
know. Yeah, you don't want to be interrupted.
No, not that. It's just I don't like. I don't know. I'm just trying to do this for the bit, but I don't care to argue in that sense, unless it's like how much better Michael Jordan is than LeBron James. Like,
Well, it was fine because it was just a bit. So.
Yeah, but it's still, it's like
All right.
Not to me. Not to me. I wholeheartedly
Oh.
believe this. So, not to me.
I'd much rather judge next time and let you
Okay.
guys all.
Maybe we'll let you judge next
We
time.
can switch around, like, you know, roles and stuff.
Scrap.
Like, I would love to be the judge about a topic I don't know about, but I
Yeah,
was like,
maybe
I
we do.
can't judge because I know too fucking much about this already, and I already have an opinion. So.
I have an 8-minute video I watched before this to and then
Yeah, no,
just
Shawnee
quick
really did.
research.
Yeah.
I actually Googled soda pop and try to get some dirt
Yeah,
on
you
him,
came
and I
in.
was
You
like,
came in.
Is that
with a-
real?
Louise.
Is that real that he
Yeah.
did blackface? No shot.
yeah, it was. I Googled him up. He's also he had a company that esports company that Shaq bought into and a couple people, and then
Yeah.
soda pop and went and was a part of it, and then it like instantly failed. And
Did
I'm
you-
like, oh.
Did
Let's
you
just,
Google soda pop and dirt or what?
I just put soda pop and it like came up.
All right,
And
come
I
on.
was
We're,
like,
we're
looking
running
for-
late now. All right, last
yeah,
last
3-hour episode.
last
Frank.
word. No, it's 2 hours, but I'm now
Okay,
creeping
okay.
into 2:15, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
All right, last word, Shawnee.
It was, as much as it was uncomfortable, it was super fun. I don't want anyone to freak out. I love Scrap and Frank and Io, and I severely miss Tech.
But not
and
Elon.
No, careful. We're doing so well.
my feelings towards Elon, I really want to put it there. I don't know anything about him aside from this video game nonsense. And if it was just Jim Bob Joe, like we just argued about these people, I'd still argue.
If it was soda pop and you
vehemently.
tear down his entire fucking life.
Yeah, right? Like, I don't know anything about that guy either, except what I
Alright.
looked up.
Next court case is Elon.
Oh my
Scrap,
God.
Scrap. Final words.
Yeah. No, I think Shawnee did really, really amazing, and we can't only do this once. And I really hope there's more good drama for us to take apart.
Yeah. There was another one with Mega Set that I was going to bring up, but that was just more of like very clearly one-sided.
Yeah. Well, keep an eye out, and if anybody has suggestions about like if
Yes,
they like
please.
this or
Send us
There's
a
always
story.
drama.
Send us a story about what happened to you personally. We'd love to
I've
be the
I've
court.
had I had a roaching situation, not to get too much into it, where I like kind of half roached because the healer roached. Like
No.
we were doing a last Anderhall and it was really a big mess. It's like the most dangerous quest ever, and I only had 1 bar to 60, so it was really stupid. But I like everything was kind of going bad, and the ads were getting loose, like from where they were supposed to be and stuff. And I just see the druid healer go into travel form, and I'm like, okay, I'm out. Like, and I followed him out, but somebody did end up dying, so it was really not good.
That's
But I
Court
will
opinion
say,
against Scrap, is she an
No,
asshole?
I will say,
Roach.
I
Love
feigned
Scrap.
death,
Could have
and
dropped the
like I
flash
had,
trap.
I will say I feigned death, and I had no aggro on me, and people were still freaking out and not running well, and so I got back up, I drank, I got my pet back up, and I re-engaged to try to save them. But one of the hunters was so stupid he died. I don't know how you even die as a hunter, but
All right.
okay, whatever. Sorry if that was you. I feel bad, kind of. And the healer did go through therapy with me for like an hour because he felt really bad too. So sorry.
I ask you final words.
Thanks for having me again. This was really fun. And real quick, I know we threw some dirt at Soda Poppin', but I'm sure he's probably grown since then and is a much better person now.
I'm sure he feels really bad about the blackface he did.
Feels
I don't
worse
think
about his
Soda
Don't
Pop
wanna-
will see this.
Don't want to burn bridges with.
Hey, you know, don't.
I
I was
so.
trying to get into OnlyFans on his 5th hardcore character. He makes it past 12.
You're so rude.
I'm a dickhead.
All right. Final words from me. Get on the PTR. Get on the PTR and test this stuff. Come on, y'all. It doesn't take a lot to go in and see it and put in the notes or in the reports. I don't want to be in week 3 and everyone complaining that the state of the dungeons are too tough or whatever. Get on the PTR. All right, episode 35. That's a wrap. We're already late, so I'm just gonna make it quick. We love you all. We'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.
Goodbye.
I'll be back. I gotta go pee so bad.